Small potatoes also angry roar fly. Goo goo. Small potatoes also angry roar fly. But the virtual figure really disappeared from the air, no. The roar of cloud dance ripping heart and lungs is lifted up in the valley. Child. Her child. No, she can't let the kids go. Regardless of the body falling to the ground, he got up from the ground and turned around suddenly, looking at Yuzi back. Help me, please. Tears twinkled in her scarlet eyes, but she did not allow them to fall. The white robe on Yuzi Gui's body was dyed red by the stab, but it still gave people the cold air of immortality. Good. He didn't refuse Yunwoo's call for help. A white dress flits by. At the moment of cloud dance, the two figures jump up in the air and begin to disappear in a twinkling of an eye. Small potatoes see this, but also sees the opportunity to fly away. Together with the two figures disappeared in the void. Hoo hoo. The wind whirring in my ears, what I saw in front of my eyes was a piece of white light passing by. Yunwoo's cold and murderous heart became more and more intense. Black eyes were in scarlet at this time, as if they could not feel the pain of the viscera. Charming. Charming. If you dare to touch my child, I will tear you to pieces in pursuit of white light. Jade's son returned tiny Lo Mao, saw an eye in his arms quiet woman, pale complexion almost become transparent, reverse Tuo gave her that pair of scarlet eyes. Even if she didn't open her mouth, she could clearly see the killing intention in her eyes. This kind of mood is not suitable for her. If he could, he didn't want her to look like that. But at this time, Yuzuki didn't speak half a word, just put his arms around her waist and made a little effort. The edge of the light zone. After more than 3 hours of chasing, I finally caught up with the charm with two children outside a small town that was about to enter the elf forest. The two children in the hands of the charm fell into a deep sleep at this time. Looking at Yuzi Gui catching up with him with Yunwoo, Mei's cold and stern look was filled with a touch of sarcasm. The Grand Master of returning to the mountain, now he really can't let go of a woman. Jade's son returned but still indifferent glance at him. Give the child back to her. Give it back to her. What, you don't want the son of light? By the way, and the son of the dark, whom you have always regarded as a curse said, the charm like to show the general raised his hands sleeping children. The scarlet eyes of Cloud Dance are staring at the two children in his hands tightly, and the bottom of his heart is anxious and nervous, for fear that he will accidentally drop her child. But a touch of hate rose in my heart. Hate yourself, why did you leave your children there so carelessly? Hate this man who used children as a threat for the purpose. If she could, she would rather trade her life for the safety of her two children. Mei, no matter what your purpose is, the two children are innocent. Put them down and let's have a good chat. Yuzuki let go of the Cloud Dance and walked step by step towards the charm. But Mei suddenly heard something funny. She looked up and burst out laughing innocent. The laughter stopped suddenly, and the cold attack in the eagle's eyes was infected with a strong murderous atmosphere. Innocent? Yuzuki, these two words can come out of your mouth. I really think it's ridiculous. If you so-called bright and decent people could have innocent in your heart, how could she die and why would I become such a lifeless person? Haha, innocent, innocent haha. Speaking of the latter two words, Mei laughs with great irony, and laughs very loud. However, the laughter is inexplicably full of a strong sense of sadness-hate. Yuzuki's face is still very calm. However, looking at the laughing charm, there is a helpless apology in his eyes. At the beginning, it's not that we didn't save her, but Peony. She chose to give you the only chance. She wanted you to live. You shut up, you have no right to mention her name. If it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for your so-called bright and decent, who brought us back by force, she would not be hurt or die. You all talk about benevolence, justice, and morality, but in fact, she is the most selfish and self-interested liar. At the mention of the word, peony, the charm is like being stabbed in the key, covered with thorns all over, leaving only angry hatred on the cold face. Whenever he thought of her death, he was heartbroken, and he wanted to kill all these so-called decent people one by one. However, the power of being awakened in him is just like a curse. Whenever he kills these people in the light faction, he will be bound and trapped involuntarily, otherwise, he would not hide for 300 years. 300 years. How many painful days and nights. No one can understand, and no one can understand. He must untie the forbidden curse and get the holy things of the witch family. Then, one by one, he will kill all these people, all of them. Yuzigi didn't expect that the hatred in his heart was so deep that he was almost possessed. Evil spirit, don't be controlled by hatred anymore. If you go on like this, you will be doomed. Haha, can't it be over? Yuzigi, put away your high-sounding excuse. If it wasn't for the conditions, you wouldn't live in front of me. The een in the eagle eye is fierce to twinkle, swept that jade sun to return to one eye, then turn to another side, locked in that is trying to sneak toward him of Cloud Dance body. Yunwoo, you are a woman. You are really interesting. Originally, I didn't plan to treat your children like that, but you are too ignorant. The moment he said that, he suddenly threw the little fat girl on the side of the boulder. No. The cloud dances in fear of cracking, and the body flies away. Magic. Yuzigai's face changed and his figure turned into white light. But the charm is a cold smile, and Yuzigi rushed to the direction of the little fat girl, a powerful spirit ball hit on his back. Bang! Poof! Yuzigi took the attack and spat blood, but he also took the little fat girl who was thrown to the boulder. But little fat girl started, but it was light, without any real feeling. Now bowed his head, and when he saw clearly the small figure gradually turned into foam in his hands, Yuzi returned to his mouth and inexplicably raised a bitter smile. Mirage. I didn't expect that one day, he would be so nervous for someone that he didn't find such a simple magic trick. Yunwoo's face is very pale. When he sees that Yuzigi's child is just a mirage, he is a little relieved. However, he looks at Yuzigi with some complexity. Yuzi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and slowly turned to look at his charm with a sneer. Mei seemed very satisfied with the effect she saw, and said sarcastically, for the sake of a woman who has become so embarrassed, I really want to let those old people in the clan have a look, and see how their proud patriarch, for the sake of a woman, even for the disaster they want to eradicate, they ignore their lives to rescue. This is really a good play. Cloud Dance heard their dialogue, but also a little guess out of the plot. However, she could not sympathize with the man who was full of sadness. How on earth can you give the child back to me? The cloud danced with scarlet eyes and looked at the charm that was mocking Yuzi's return. The deal between you and me is over. If you want to have children, it will cost a lot. Magic suddenly looks at Cloud Dance with a strange smile. Yuzi Gui frowned. Say it, kill him. As long as you can kill him, you'll get both of them back. Charming smile, not smile of C to the other side of Jade's sun returned to say, the facial expression of hate idea changed on a touch of C, a play of interest. Go to the theater. It's true that he is watching a play, another absolutely wonderful play. Cloud Dance smell speech, fist unconsciously clench and rise, pale face more and more white, but that pair of scarlet eyes but in that moment and become extremely deep. I hope you do what you say. Of course. The charm of the mouth, serious-like answer. And in that next second, Cloud Dance hand move, a big knife suddenly appeared in her hand. Master you, he is bound by power and can't kill you, but I can. Cloud Dance will pick up the knife, toward that Jade's sun return of direction coldly say. However, the meaning of her words is ambiguous. It sounds as if he is making a wild remark, but it seems to remind Yuzi that if he doesn't fight back, she will kill him. Jade's sun return but eyebrow deep lock up, didn't answer, also didn't have any movement. Cloud Dance see this, and did not hesitate, figure a jump, quickly toward Jade's sun to attack. Who, big knife cuts through the air and cuts down. At the moment when the sword was cut down, Yuzi moved back and avoided the attack, but he still didn't plan to fight back. Cloud Dance then figure a spin, blade a turn, cross split and passed. Yuzi goes away. Yunwoo continues to attack. Jade's sun return but still left and right up and down of dodge but open, just don't hand. For a moment, I saw two figures attacking and hiding in the open space, and the wind of the sword was waving. Enchantment on the other side, also not anxious, just like laughing at the scene. Maybe, seeing the embarrassed and trapped Dao Yuzi's return in front of her, she felt a little relieved in her heart, so her vigilance relaxed a little. So, it seems that I didn't notice that the little potato, which was hidden from me at the beginning, was sneaking behind him. Yunwu may not be able to see the location of the two children, but little potato can. Children, in fact, have never left the charm of the side. And the child is in the border space behind him, which is well concealed by him. Small potato carefully flashing meat whirring wings close to the past, taking advantage of the charm now attention in Yunwu and Yuzi back, in a close, suddenly toward the border. Pa! The sound of the broken glass suddenly broke the original funny scene. Little potato is almost in an instant, small claws grab the two children in the border, on the crazy flapping wings to escape the evil spirit suddenly reacts to come over, the eye mouth shrinks, kill the idea suddenly to stir up. To die. Two words fall of the moment, then see his figure has been phantom, cold with extremely cold straight cut into that want to take two children to escape the potato body. Cloud dance as early as in the small potatoes break the border, take out two children's moment, stopped to Yuzigi's attack, turned and flew away. However, she did not expect that she underestimated the strength of the charm. No matter how fast she is, she can't be charming. I saw that at the moment when little potato was attacked, she threw little fat girl under one claw towards the direction of cloud dance, but the young master under the other claw fell down with the split half of his body. However, the evil spirit but the hand once brushed, direct that fall of young master gave back to own hand. Small potatoes were split body, with blood donation of falling with the wind. Little potato. Cloud dance is frightened and roars, and her eyes are afraid of cracking, but the figure that flies away is still the little fat girl who is sleeping. At that moment, Yuzigi's figure had turned into a white shadow and quickly attacked the spirit. Bang! The two swords intersected in mid-air, and a sharp sword sound broke through the air and spread out with a strong afterwave. I can't kill you, but don't forget, you can't kill me either. Looking at Yuzi Gui, who obviously has the intention of killing, the cold face of the charm is infected with a crazy smile. Yuzigi's brow was deeply locked, and her eyes were getting colder and colder. Don't go too far. Too much. Why don't you remember what you did to us? It's just the tip of the iceberg. When Mei said that, she suddenly gave a strange smile, as if she had found some vent. How about we play a game? What do you want to do? The sword in Yuzi Gui's hand tightened a little. Charming hook lip smile, coldness mixed with a bit of madness. Of course I'll kill you, isn't this son of light in my hand what you always want? I suddenly felt that giving him to the dark side would make things interesting. Villain, if you dare to do that, I will destroy you myself. Suddenly, a loud voice came from far and near. Then, I saw a few white robe figures flying fast. The pressure in the air, along with those figures, has a strong change. It's none other than the elders of Yuguishan. The elder and his disciples were waiting in the square with some elders and Yugue's disciples, waiting for Yuzi to return and pick up Guangming's son. But after waiting for a long time, the elder finally felt something was wrong. Then he discussed with several elders and went to the place where Yuzi Guilingli was. Along the way, they realized that they were going to walk out of the bright area. Unexpectedly, the evil that had escaped for 300 years was the culprit that prevented them from looking for the Son of Light. Moreover, when they heard that Mei wanted to hand over the Son of Light to the people of the dark sect, how could the elders' anger be small at this time? Villain, when you see me and others coming, don't hurry up and take them. Then came the dignified voice of the second elder. The charm hears the sound and looks up at the four old men in the air. His eyes are cold and violent. Unexpectedly, 300 years later, you are still such a mean person. Cold anger said, the phantom figures suddenly retreated. But in the back, they were surrounded and cut off by the four old men in four directions. Villain, 300 years ago, you didn't care about our cultivation of you, but because of a woman, you paid for your kindness with resentment. In the past 300 years, if the patriarch didn't care about your awakening to become the emperor of Ming dynasty in our light department, do you think you could escape 300 years safely? I'm afraid you'll be killed when you run away. The elder looked at the evil spirit and angrily scolded. Emperor Ming. Yes, this charm is the Ming emperor who awakened 300 years ago. Originally, he thought that the awakening of the Ming emperor would be a blessing for the School of Light, but he did not expect that it would be a disaster for the Department of Light. 300 years ago, if that had not happened, the situation of today's two factions fighting would not have been created. Later, the Ming emperor's news was not secret, but Yu Guishan did not mention it by default. Because of this, why did Yunwu not hear any news about the Ming emperor when he inquired about the news in Yuguishan City? After hearing this, Mei wants to hear something funny, and laughs, Emperor Ming. If you didn't force me and Peony to the fairyland, if you didn't force me to transform my body and wake up, what would I be like now? Can Peony die of injury? Don't talk as if you've done something kind to me. I'll find it funny. It's so funny that I feel sick. Maybe it was the meaning of Mei's words that made the four old men's faces suddenly change, and they were filled with shame and anger. Seeing the changing faces of the four old men, Mei's sarcastic smile remained unchanged. Did I get angry when I told you to wear your mask? Ha ha. Evil, you still don't know how to repent for 300 years, okay. That book will make you today. The elder and the other three elders seemed very angry. Suddenly, they saw that the four old men wanted to fight. Charm is not worried, just suddenly sneer-like looked up, looked at a position in mid-air, cold mouth said, Knight, you want I can bring you, it's time to realize your promise. What? Knight? Holding a little fat girl with red eyes and full of murderous anger, Yunwu combines the two sides of the body of the little potato together. When he hears the enchantment call, Knight, he suddenly raises his head. When you see the sky, gradually appeared in the night, Yunwu only feel the blood is surging up. The scarlet eyes, when they saw the figure, were suddenly infected with countless bloodlines, which were full of the whole eye socket, and looked extremely ferocious and terrible. Knight! It's him. It's all him. If it wasn't for him, why would she and her children be in such a situation? At this time of cloud dance, only feel the bottom of my heart incomparable resentment is boiling up, there is no original fear of escape, there is only more and more fury. Little Potato's death, all anger to appear in the air on the man. Night is still a black suit, not stained with the general handsome and elegant, in the ground to see the cloud dancing arms of small potatoes, the corners of the mouth inexplicably hold a touch of radiant. Long time no see. Cloud dance it's very light, but with a gentle voice, it comes slowly as he steps down. Cloud Dance put Little Potato's body into the space bracelet, then got up from the ground, took off his coat, and tied the sleeping little fat girl tightly in front of him. Then he looked up at him and said, You conspired with him in all this? You've always been smart. Knight just looked at her with a smile and answered such a sentence. But the meaning is very clear. Yunwu clenched his fist. But at this time, suddenly. The smell of demons, are you a demon? On the other side, the elder suddenly stares at the knight, and his voice rises suddenly. After appearing in the night, several elders and Yuzi Gui obviously felt the dark atmosphere on the visitor. At first, they thought that the man Mei Lai was looking for was just from the dark side. But when the night came, the elder with higher cultivation suddenly felt something wrong with his breath. After a careful exploration, he suddenly exclaimed. But unexpectedly, after hearing the elder's words, the knight just deepened the smile of the corner of the mouth, and didn't seem to explain. Demons. Not only Yuzi Gui, but the other three elders also changed their faces. The unprecedented vigilance and solemnity appeared on several people, and their eyes were fixed on the knight. Enchantment see those old men so big enemy in front of appearance, lazy like hook lip a smile, I bottom that wipe satire half silk didn't reduce. Night, the son of darkness is on her. I believe that a woman in the human world will not pose any threat to you. Now, is it time to solve these old men so as to realize your promise? Night line of sight is from beginning to end in the cloud dance to protect the little fat girl in front of the body. The potential in the black eyes must be more and more rich. However, he was not in a hurry to start, but after hearing the speech, he slowly turned his head and looked at the 4 old men in 4 directions. Just these 4? Otherwise. All right. The knight promised with ease. The 4 old men, including Uzgui, were alert and ready for the First World War. But no one thought that the shadow of the night was in the voice of a fall, shwa out of a dark shadow, straight down in front of the cloud. As long as it's easy to kill these people when the sons of darkness come. Soft as a feather voice, but with a strange meaning said. The chilly breath blows, and the speed is so fast that I want to catch the fat girl in Yunwoo's arms. Who? The big sword fell in the air, with gusts of cold wind, straight away into the night. Night black Mawa shrink, body shape a move, avoided that to chop down of big knife. But he didn't move any more. Instead, he stood a few steps away from Yunwoo and looked at her with a slight eyebrow. Yunwoo, during this period of time, you should also feel that these people will not tolerate this child. If you give her to me, I will make her a human being, so that no one can hurt her. Decoy. Maybe, what he said is right. During this period, the people of Yugwashan are not less willing to kill little fat girl. But, give it to him. Unless she's dead. Yunwoo looked at him and said coldly, Knight, if I can, I will crush you to pieces. Knight smell speech, just deep looking at her after one eye, the corners of the mouth gentle hook up, gentle way, I hope you will have this opportunity, I wait for you. All of a sudden, a black fog came with the breeze, and the familiar and strange dark breath in front of her body would suddenly attack her nose. Next second. Night. Cloud dance roars, subconsciously want to take the little fat girl back. But I do not know why, clearly close at hand, but rushed to the air. The knight stands a few steps away, looking at the cloud dance with pale face and roaring, I don't know when there is a little girl in my hand. Deep eyes in his arms to see the little fat girl, night that deep eyes finally see a certain kind of comfort and joy of emotion, slender fingertips gently brush that pink-white cheek, can't put it down, finally, I found you, my highness princess. Give me the baby back. Cloud dance angry red eyes, don't want to also don't hesitate toward the knight. Yunwoo, calm down. At this time, Jade's son returned but don't know when appeared in cloud dance side, tightly pull her into the bosom. You let me go. Yunwoo was angry and struggled. Jade's son returned but tightly embrace her, let such as she how struggle also refuse to let go of hand. He's a demon, you won't be his opponent. Demons. At this time, Yunwoo's reason has been occupied by anger, and she doesn't want to pay any attention to the demons. She only knows that her son is in the hands of Mayu, and the little fat girl who returns to her side with little potato's life is taken away by night. She can't stand it. She really can't stand her children falling into other people's hands. I don't care. Whoever touches my child, I'll take his life. Yunwoo's voice was trembling, and she almost wanted to rush to kill those who had caught her children, as long as she could get them back. The Jade Sun returns to the eye ground to pass a touch of heartache of looking at the woman who loses reason calm in the bosom, but didn't plan to let go of her. Listen to me. Demons, absolutely not anyone can casually despise, even his whole Jade Mountain. The demons were sealed thousands of years ago. How did you? The 4 elders were not affected by Yunwoo's action. After digesting the news of the demon, they immediately looked at the knight and asked. The son of darkness has arrived. Yeben has no intention to fight with these old men for the time being. However, he has promised to do something. At least, he needs to charm the partner. So, he didn't mind solving these old men ahead of time. It's from you. In that case, I'll take your life. The knight holds the little fat girl in one hand, the body jumps in the air, one hand lifts up, as if dragging something. A dark cloud suddenly rises in the sky, forcing the air around. The four old men's faces changed. He wants to attack with gathering demons. Stop him, or everyone in this town will be destroyed together. 4 directions, at the same time. The four old men, after discussing with each other, immediately jumped into the air and surrounded the knight in 4 directions. At that moment, the white clouds surged around, and 4 powerful forces rose in 4 directions, directly pressing the dark force in the middle. Hoo-hoo. There was a sudden gust of wind. All around, the pressure of the aura fluctuations almost make people breathless. Under the strong afterwave, all around began to bring a hot high temperature. That's the change of 2 opposite forces. And that kind of high temperature, higher and higher, almost in mid-air to form a kind of squeezed out of the flame, all the creatures will be burned clean. However, Yunwu felt that the night had not done its best, and the 4 old men had not done their best. Once both sides do their best, I'm afraid that all these 4 weeks will be gone. Charm holding the young master, from the beginning to the end of the station in a distance from the position of the direction, coldly looking at all this happened in front of me. It seems that in his eyes, these are all good plays. It was a good play that he had been looking forward to, and he was reluctant to miss any details. Ah woo. But at this time, the child's cry, suddenly in this tense atmosphere. Yunwu looks up at the young master in her arms. Her heart aches because of the cry of the child. If Yuzi hadn't held her tightly, she would have rushed to her. Since the young master was born, apart from eating and sleeping, Yunwu has never seen him cry, let alone cry now. Unexpectedly, you can feel the danger of your sister, tut-tut. Charm looked at his arms suddenly crying up the little baby, frowned and murmured But Yunwu heard that very clearly. The danger of my sister. Suddenly looked up, Cloud Dance open eyes looking at the knight in the hands of the little fat girl. This doesn't look good. At a glance, Yunwu just felt that she couldn't lift her face in one breath. I saw the little fat girl sleeping in her arms that night. Her face was as white as paper. Under the sweat of her forehead, 2 little willow eyebrows seemed to be tightly wrinkled in endless pain. Is it because of the 2 forces that are fighting each other? Or is Night using her power? No matter which one, if it goes on like this, little fat girl's life will definitely be explained here. Cloud Dance also don't know how to break away from Jade's son to return, anyway, under everyone's facial expression big change, her body that long seriously injured already jumped into the air, abruptly broke into those 2 forces. Pa! That power is really beyond her power. Yunwu only felt that his internal organs were broken, his limbs were pulled as if they were going to be broken, and his whole body was going to be smashed. And in fact, it is. At this time, the Cloud Dance in people's eyes, the body will be scattered like particles, and will be crushed into a blood fog by the force. Ah woo. The cry of the young master is more and more sad. Yunwu's consciousness dissipated in the pain, but her son's cry made her pull back a trace of consciousness. All around a chaos, Cloud Dance, only feel the eyes of a dazzling red, heat wave swept her whole body, including burning her eyes. However, Cloud Dance still found the location of the night. Even though she can't breathe under the pressure of huge force, every inch of her body has been torn to pieces, but with that little sense of existence, at the moment when her body is broken, she suddenly passes through the force and goes straight in. Night he never thought, deal with the 4 old men, not only hurt the son of darkness, but also let him fall into a difficult situation. But it was the woman who flew to him through the 4 old men and his strength that made him feel terrible. You. The voice of the night just came out, and the woman who came had snatched the pale little fat girl from him. Come on, now. An old man suddenly called out. Just as the old man's words had just fallen, the other 3 old men had no time to be shocked. They immediately went out with all their strength and set off a huge force to attack the night. However, even if Cloud Dance recaptured the little fat girl from the night hand, it didn't leave the distance of the night. The power of the 4 old men working together at the same time actually fell on her. However, even if the 4 old men knew this situation, they would not hesitate, because, in addition to the Cloud Dance, the night is a demon, and they must be killed. Little fat girl, the son of darkness, is to destroy it. All in all, it's definitely cost-effective to sacrifice a human woman to annihilate the son of darkness and a demon. Be careful. Yuzugi's face changed greatly, and his figure flashed, then he went to the air. However, it is still late. Yunwoo tightly protects the little fat girl in her arms, shrinks into a ball, and tries to protect her children with her body as a barrier. She knew she couldn't get away with it. However, she was not willing to let her child die like this. Why? Why should her innocent children pay for the so-called purpose of these people? Ah! Under the attack of great power, Yunwoo's body was smashed in an instant. She couldn't bear the pain, and she was unwilling to let her utter an earth-shaking cry. At that moment, under the impact of the black and white light, the road shrank into a ball to protect the child's body, and was instantly destroyed into a transparent scattering like glass fragments. But in the blink of an eye, a powerful and pure aura suddenly broke out in the body like broken glass. As soon as the aura came out, the power of light in this area seemed to be instantly summoned. The next second, Yunwoo's broken body was suddenly agglutinated, and the force of light glued together to restore the original. Green silk flying, holding the child's body tightly, suddenly stretched straight and pitching up, a red totem mark suddenly flashed between the forehead and eyebrows, and a dazzling purple light flashed through the burning blood-red pupil, which brought a mysterious and powerful. When the strange image appeared on Yunwoo's body, the huge power of terror around him suddenly seemed to be emptied by something, and disappeared in the air in the blink of an eye. It's gone. The power that was enough to destroy all the people in the nearby town and all the creatures around it completely disappeared, and disappeared in an instant. At night, the four old men, Yuzigui, and even the charm, were shocked by the scene. For a moment, no one responded. The young master's cry stopped, with big eyes dripping with tears, and he only stared at his mother in the air. Xiao Pang waved his hand in the air, as if he wanted to hold his mother. But at this time, no one paid attention to him, because everyone's attention was focused on the cloud dance who was floating in the air and was still in the process of vision change. The big elder's pupil was staring big, and the fear in the bottom of his eyes was proportional to his surprise. This is. The big elder's pupil was staring big, and the fear in the bottom of his eyes was proportional to his surprise. The other three old men were also shocked. They opened their eyes and looked at the clouds in the air. But the charm, at this time that pair of deep eyes also many a dark deep thought. I didn't expect that she had something of the Protoss. Whisper, light can only hear. Night, at this time look unpredictable, black eyes also staring at the figure in the air, not in the hands. He can say from the beginning has been watching the cloud grow up, from her appeared on the top of the desert, he has begun to calculate all the plans. I thought that everything would go according to his plan. But unexpectedly, she, Yunwoo, became the only exception. Yugui-shan, who escaped from him and entered into the bright area, not only gave birth to the son of darkness, but also gave birth to the son of light, which caused this movement. When he knew the news, he knew that Yunwoo would no longer be a piece on his chessboard, because she was too difficult to control. Once the pieces on the chessboard are useless, they cannot be left. Today, he got the son of darkness, and he didn't intend to keep her. However, she once again surprised him and broke his plan. For the first time, when he looked at the woman in front of him, a very strange idea arose in his heart, which was enough to make his future road full of unpredictable thorns. However, he suddenly felt that a thorny road was better than a road beyond his control. So, at the moment when all the people on the scene were shocked by the scene just now, the night road suddenly came with them, reaching for the cloud dance that I don't know if it was in a coma. And the little fat girl has been held in her arms by Yunwoo. Let her go. Yuzugi was the first to react. At the moment when his eyes were angry, the white figure suddenly jumped up and attacked the night with clouds. Don't mention that you are the leader of a small clan. Even if you join hands, you can't take anything from me. On the gentle face of the night, suddenly it is gloomy and cold. The black robe swept in the air, and a black fog streamer accompanied with the killing machine, and the jade came back. Yuzugi's face changed slightly. After dodging, he flew to attack again. However, for the night, it seems that it is just a few easy to deal with. Master, be careful. The four old men came back to their senses when they saw that their patriarch was so desperate to attack. In danger of Yuzi's return, they exclaimed. Four old men flew away again. But at this time, it was just the charm who had been watching the play, but suddenly jumped up in the air, caught everyone by surprise, quickly shot, only to block the four old men's attack. You're trying to stop us? Or do you really want to die? At this time, the two elders looked at the evil spirit of interference. For the Ming Emperor, although they are shouting to fight and kill, they are really reluctant to give up. You know, they, the Ming Emperor, have problems as soon as they wake up, but we have to say that he is the best immortal talent and strength they have ever had. If that had not happened, his achievements would have been extraordinary. What a pity! What a pity! And this is a pity, but also let the four old man's heart. Since you gave up on her, now others want her, but you want to rob her. Is that the style of your Guangming department? If so, I'm sorry. I can't stand it, so I'm going to do justice for heaven. On the cold face of the enchantment, there was a sense of enchantment. When the four old men heard this, they seemed to have been told a scandal, and their faces were ugly. You rebellious, it seems that we have indulged you too much, and now we are still so crazy. Stop talking to him, take him down and save our son of light. Elder, let me do it first, so as not to let people say that we cheat less with more. The four elders looked at the other three elders and suddenly attacked the spirit like a meteor. Pa! The two figures from the sky, like meteors, can't see clearly. The other three elders looked at each other, and then tacit understanding did not go to fight, because, at this time, they should pay more attention to the fight between Yuzigi and the knight. In addition to Yuzigi being their patriarch, the more important one is the woman of human world, Yunwu. They will never feel wrong at that moment when they are carrying Protoss. The fact that a woman in the human world can possess the things of the Protoss is enough to make them pay close attention from indifference at the beginning. If they could, they would never allow anyone to take her. However, when these people were fighting on both sides, they didn't know that the cloud dance, which was fused with the broken body by the powerful spiritual force, was not really in a coma at this time. Her body was shattered by the power. Although she was fused again under the spirit power of Chaos Hall, her body and soul were in a state of semi-separation and reunion. It's like being in a coma and completely ignorant of the outside world. But in fact, she has a clear sense of the outside world, including what those people say and what they do. I don't know why, Mingming is now in a state of half-soul separation, but Yunwu is extremely calm. Even her previous irrational resentment seems to be resolved by the coldness brought by the deep soul. The soul is still the killer Wufeng from the 21st century. However, at this time, she looked back and saw what had happened in the past few years, but it seemed that she had experienced countless joys and sorrows, and finally, she still became what she is now. Husband ion powder. Yes, in fact, it's just a few years, but it's like a life of vicissitudes, with emotion, but more of it is a kind of unspeakable tiredness. Whether it's the human world, the upper world, or even the fairyland now. These people are inseparable from the 5 words, greed, hatred, infatuation and evil. In this world, where can there be a pure land? Half-soul state of cloud dance, coldly looking at the fight for her, the bottom of my heart suddenly rose a very cold Qingming. But Yunwu didn't find that, with what she thought in her heart and the quieter and quieter Qingming at the bottom of her heart, her body was undergoing earth-shaking changes. The Hall of Chaos, which had been floating and sinking in the sea of her consciousness, suddenly began to rotate rapidly, as if it had lost some support. When it reached the extreme, it began to make a clang sound that was about to collapse. It seems that some parts of the interior are beginning to dissipate. If Yunwu's soul is not half separated at this time, she will find that not only the Chaos Hall is collapsing, but also the contract slot that has been silent in her eyebrows is disappearing. The contract slot in the middle of the eyebrow is actually the contract bridge formed by Yunwu when he was a summoner. Once the contract slot disappears, the relationship with the contract beast is terminated. At the same time, once the contract slot disappears completely, the contract array will disappear, and the summoner class will return to 0. In other words, without the contract array, she would not be a summoner. The collapse of Chaos Hall means that there will be no Chaos Hall, the god of cheating device. However, at this time, Yunwoo knew nothing about this situation. On the contrary, as she looked at it bit by bit, her soul seemed to be enveloped by some kind of emptiness, and her heart became more and more clear as a mirror. As a human, her 7 emotions and 6 desires began to disappear from her original soul. People, once there is no 7 emotions and 6 desires, then wait for the same corpse to walk. Of course, for those who cultivate immortals, it is the best time to become an immortal without 7 emotions and 6 desires. However, Yunwoo did not practice the immortal method, and never intended to become the immortal. She's just, supercilious, but she didn't know that what happened to her also affected many people and things. This is the Dark Cloud Palace in the dark area. In a magnificent hall, the dragon, dressed in gorgeous black robes and sitting upright, suddenly felt a palpitation and trembled. The moment he opened his golden eyes, a beam of light passed under his eyes. It's her. She must be in this fairyland. Besides, something must have happened to her. The throbbing and trembling from the bottom of Long Qingxia's heart made his face turn white gradually. Some strong bad premonition was impacting his reason. He knew that at this time, he could not step out of the scope of the Dark Cloud Palace without the permission of the Lord of the Dark Cloud Palace. This situation was discovered after he awakened to the identity of Dark Emperor. He knew that this Dark Cloud Palace must have done something to him. During this time, he went all over the Dark Cloud Palace and searched the library of the Dark Cloud Palace, trying to find a solution, but all failed. Even, because he walked frequently during this period, he was suspected by those old men. Originally, he intended to take advantage of the time to go to Yuguishan in a few days to find a solution. After all, if he has this kind of restraining power, he can't escape at all. Even if he escapes, he will be captured by the Dark Cloud Palace. And when he is caught back, it is not known what the Dark Cloud Palace will do to his memory, so the only way is to find a way to crack it. That's why he didn't look for it, since he seemed to feel Yunwoo's intention last time. But now there is something wrong with Yunwoo. Something happened to her. All reason, after knowing this, seems to begin to disintegrate. No, he's going to find her. Long Qingxia suddenly got up from the mat, and then left the hall quickly. But as soon as he left the palace, the maid at the door immediately welcomed them, but at this time, the dragon turned a blind eye to them and left a shadow behind. "Come on, report to the Lord," one of the maids said to the guard on the other side. All of a sudden, he saw several figures moving quickly in several directions. In addition to going to the palace of the patriarch, there were several others going to the hall of the elder. During this period of time, several elders were not quite at ease with the dragon's evil spirit, and they made people keep an eye on it for a long time. Heart Hall. Suzerain, Dark Emperor. A bodyguard who rushed into the hall just wanted to report, but when he saw the people in the hall, he stopped abruptly. At this time, in addition to the leader of their Dark Cloud Palace, the Dark Emperor who just left was also standing on the main hall. Long Qingxia turned his head, and his golden eyes swept the bodyguard with a cold light. However, he didn't say anything. On the contrary, Lian Ting frowned when he saw the impetuous guard. What's so impetuous? There are no rules. Always gentle as jade voice, low and solemn. The bodyguard trembled and bowed his head to answer respectfully, I know my mistake. Seeing that the Dark Emperor is here, what else can he report? Even the court glanced at the bodyguard and knew what he was coming to report. However, it was not easy for the Dark Emperor to say anything in front of him. So, it's just a dignified gesture, go down and get punished. If you do it again next time, you will not let it go. Yes, the bodyguard quickly stepped back and took the door of the main hall with him. After a while, there was silence in the hall. Lian Ting then raised his eyes slightly and looked at the dragon Qing Xie, who suddenly came to his main hall. The Dark Emperor was interrupted as soon as he spoke. Now there is no outsider. If you have anything to say, you may as well say it directly. Long Qingxie's anxiety and uneasiness didn't show a trace on his face, and he was still arrogant with natural evil spirit. He walked to one side and sat down, then he looked at Lian Ting's eyes. During these days, you must have been monitoring me pretty much, don't you? Although I have lost my memory, it doesn't mean that I have no feelings for the outside world. I don't like to live a life of being watched everywhere. Moreover, during this period, I feel that something is wrong with my body. Do you want to give me an explanation? Even hearing the speech, it seems that he will not be surprised to find out. The Dark Emperor's memory has been lost, so I don't think I can remember it. The Dark Emperor's ability after awakening is connected with the whole Dark Cloud Palace. Even me, I can't intervene. The Dark Emperor will feel uncomfortable, which is inevitable. I believe he will get used to it after a while. Junyi's face is like chatting. But the dragon poured evil smell speech, the eyebrow peak actually a wrinkly, the gold mouth twinkled a silk chili, the habit is good? Do you mean I will be tied up in this Dark Cloud Palace all my life? Of course not. Why did the Dark Emperor think so? Although the ability of the Dark Emperor is related to the survival of the whole Dark Cloud Palace, it is only limited to the influence of power, and will not affect the ordinary words and deeds of the Dark Emperor. During this period of time, the main reason is that the Dark Emperor was injured and just woke up, and there was a lack of memory. I would send people to take care of him in many ways. I didn't expect that the Dark Emperor would feel uncomfortable. Lian Ting explained with a smile, without the arrogance and indifference of the patriarch at the beginning. As a matter of fact, this Lian Ting, with a handsome and warm face, would really look like a gentle child full of literary and artistic atmosphere if he could only slightly restrain the master's momentum. It's disgusting, but on the contrary, Long Qingxie doesn't like this kind of Lian Ting, because it's more unreal and unpredictable. However, the purpose of his coming here is not to expose himself for the sake of asking questions, but to give himself a reason to leave the Dark Cloud Palace. Because, he felt that something must have happened to Yunwu now. But if the court doesn't allow him, he will break out of the Dark Cloud Palace even at the risk of being found. This time I come here, in addition to explaining to the patriarch what I just said, I have another thing to say to the patriarch. Long Qingxie's golden eyes looked at Lian Ting without reservation, and there was no emotion in the light. Lian Ting said with a faint smile, the Dark Emperor might as well speak directly. I want to leave this Dark Cloud Palace and go out to have a look. I haven't set foot anywhere except this Dark Cloud Palace since I woke up a few months ago. This time, I want to go to Yuguishan in a few days, and set out a few days in advance. Start early. Even the court smell speech, seemed to can't help but stir up the eyebrow of meditation. Long Qingxie's face was as usual, not in a hurry. In the moment of meditation, Lian Ting's eyes have been staring at the dragon's evil eyes. There is a trace of exploration in the bottom of the eyes, and he is looking at something. However, in addition to Qingming, the dragon's evil golden eyes were calm, not like other signs. After thinking for a while, Lian Ting said with a gentle smile, it's no problem that the Dark Emperor has such a plan. I don't know how many disciples the Dark Emperor plans to take and when to start. I'll go right away. Long Qingxie didn't answer the question in front of him. In fact, if he had a choice, he didn't want to take anyone from the Dark Cloud Palace, but this is not the time for him to lose his mind. As long as you leave the Dark Cloud Palace, things will be much easier to do. Even the court is quite surprised to pick eyebrow Wei, immediately set out. Yes. If the patriarch feels that he is in a hurry, then I can have a good time. Long Qingxie seems to be anxious but quite indifferent to add such a sentence. This time, on the contrary, even court inexplicable some see through. But he had a plan to let the tiger go back to the mountain for a long time. Now the dragon has suddenly put forward such a request. Isn't it the right time to implement it? So even the court agreed. As for how to arrange the incense burning time and how to arrange the disciples to follow him out, Long Qingxie has not paid much attention to it. Now he felt more and more uneasy. The time of burning incense seemed like half a century in his eyes. He suffered a lot but could not show it. It was hard for ordinary people to understand the pain. Wu Er, wait for me, you must wait for me. Upper bound. Looking for a few months failed, but still dare not give up. Nangong Yi and others, also in that moment, suddenly feel flustered, uncertain uneasiness, at the same time filled in several people's hearts. Tacit understanding. So, a few people originally group around looking for, but after that flustered, a few people at the same time from all directions toward the original position they agreed to go. Something happened to Yunwu. Especially Hung Ling, Lan Yu, and Baixuir. The three of them, except that Hung Ling and Yunwu are connected by blood, the other two are also related by contract with Yunwu. Although a few months ago, somehow, their contractual bridge with Yunwu was blocked, making them unable to sense the existence of Yunwu, they all knew that there was still a contractual relationship between them. This means Cloud Dance is still alive. However, today they also feel that the contract between them and Yunwu has changed, and the relationship between them is gradually disappearing. The contract is disappearing. They all know what it means. Their owners have had an accident, or even are losing their lives. That kind of panic, let them all lost their square inch. Human world. Yunfu. Yunqi was listening to the news that he was looking for Yunwu in the hall. It was there that he suddenly felt a little flustered. That feeling, let him understand very quickly come over, Small Dance has an accident. All the time, he never gave up looking for his granddaughter. For the news that he didn't find anyone, he insisted that no news was good news. However, this sudden panic, but let the old man who lost his granddaughter, in an instant and several years old. And Yunlingyi, who is looking for this place on the other side, also suddenly feels something. Even Gao Yu and Bai Qingshui make Xian Tian feel uneasy. The same panic and uneasiness, like tacit understanding, spread to everyone who has an important relationship with Yunwu. Perhaps, this also has something to do with the power of Bailao's rescue. However, their anxieties and worries do not seem to be able to convey to another empty world. They are in the process of dissipation. How cold! She has been looking at all the cloud dances coldly, and suddenly feels a chill coming from the depth of her soul, which makes her feel cool. Clearly, everything is just a passing cloud, will eventually turn into a cup of lust. What are these people fighting for? The world? Power and influence? Or fame? These are not important to the people who cultivate immortals. So what are they fighting for? I do not know why, has been watching the outside world is still fighting a few people in the cloud, my mind suddenly began to ponder this problem. Yeah, what are you fighting for? Cloud Dance. That pair of misty eyes twinkled a little doubt empty, as if, a lot of things began to fade away from her memory. What are you fighting for? The more you think about a problem, the more empty your brain becomes. It seems that something is disappearing from her mind. It's very important, but the more you think about it, the less you can remember it. Inexplicably, Yunwu suddenly felt flustered and felt that she wanted to catch something, but she didn't remember what to catch. In the end, what is it? What are those people fighting for? This is the problem again. Yunwu doesn't know why she has been thinking about this question. It seems that she has been thinking about the answer to this question in her mind. But she couldn't remember the answer. So, she wanted to ask those people, what are they fighting for? But Yunwu soon found that she couldn't make a sound, her throat was burning like something, her whole body was torn by something, and then she was forced to glue, tear, glue, tear, glue, repeat, repeat, repeat. Does it hurt? Seems to have no pain is what feeling, because, she forgot. However, she felt the cold rising from the depths of her soul, as deep as the frost. Outside. The night when I was fighting with Yuzigi, after avoiding another attack of Yuzigi, suddenly stopped. Because, just at that moment, he felt a strange feeling from the woman in his arms. When he looked down at the sleeping woman in his arms, his face suddenly changed. Cloud Dance. A cry, accompanied by a slight tremor of the body. At that moment, a piercing cold, straight into his body blood blink of an eye, you can see his whole body is covered with a layer of frost. Originally holding Cloud Dance's hand, also forced to let go. The temperature in the air drops in a flash. Then with the speed of the naked eye, the vegetation around the mountains are quickly beginning to frost, cold. What did you do to her? Jade's son return originally continue to attack of postures suddenly a close, looking at that is wrapped by the ice Cloud Dance, the facial expression deep anger asks Night. On the other hand, May, who was fighting with 4 old men, was stopped by this sudden situation. Within a radius of 10 li, they were covered with a layer of white frost. Even a few people with extremely high accomplishments felt a chill deep into the bone marrow. What the hell is going on? The 4 old men, seeing this, changed their looks, and the horror in their eyes could not be concealed, but they all looked at the cloud dancing in the air on the other side. The source of cold is from her. Enchantment in the heart is also once again startled. Cloud Dance, once again gave him an accident. But at this time, the young master in his arms turned pale. His trembling body gave out a whimper, but his breath weakened. The cold in the air was too much for him. When the charm found this situation, frown, subconsciously will arm's small body to hold a point. It seems that the plan will be broken again. Your mother, it's really bad for me. Muttering sounds like saying to the baby in her arms, but it seems to be talking to herself. The charm of that deep eyes, a deep glance at the other side of the white frost wrapped under the cloud, eyes flashed a deep, if you cannot die, want children, come to me. This time, the voice is not big, but it is not small. See, also didn't wait for those 4 old men to come back to God, enchantment that figure turn into a streamer, extremely fast disappear in another end. When the 4 old men reacted, they wanted to catch up, but they couldn't find any trace. Damn, the Son of Light was taken away by him. I don't know if it will. The words of the 3 elders changed the faces of the other 3 elders. Their original goal was for the Son of Light, but unexpectedly, the Son of Light was taken away in front of their eyes again. How could they feel better? Frost, covering a radius of 10 miles. In this frost-covered area, the temperature has been falling slowly, breathing can bring up a burst of white air. What the hell is going on? Did you do anything to her? Yuzi Gajunyi's face is a little worried. He wants to get close to the past, but he is forced back by the cold. His spiritual power can't break the frost. Night dark transport capacity, small half ring just the body that layer of frost to melt away. I didn't do anything to her. Facing the question of Yuzi Gui, he just answered such a sentence. The power of magic bite. In the cold frost just now, he felt a special flavor of the demon family from her. What's going on? He had fought with her on the top of the desert before, and she had used the power of Moya, but she didn't feel any special flavor of the demons in the power of Moya. But just in the frost, he felt it. And also because there is the power of demons in the frost, so it took him a little time to melt the frost. But a woman in the human world, and also the blood of the so-called witch saint in the fairyland, how can she have the power of the demon family? You know, the demons will become a race feared by all races. In addition to the fact that the demons are ruthless and impermanent and are classified as evil, the most important reason is that the cultivation methods of the demons are too evil, cruel, and overbearing. Once the practitioners of other nationalities choose a path of cultivation, they will go all the way to the end, and they can't practice in different ways. Otherwise, once there is a little improper cultivation, it is easy to fall into the evil way and be destroyed. But the demons don't. They can practice in any way, including sacrificing the living beings. They can also integrate into the cultivation of any race, and there is no saying that they will enter the demons. Although the cloud dance is not the so-called cultivator of immortals, it is even more frightening that an ordinary mortal will have the power of demons. What the hell is going on? Is she a demon? No way, no way. She is a witch, not a demon. So what's going on? In fact, Yi also wants to know this question, but who can he ask? Aren't you a demon? Find a way. The first time that Yuzigi was so angry that he lost his identity. He felt that her vitality was passing away little by little, and if it went on like this, she would die. It turned out that he cared more about her than he thought. Night to Jade's sun return of attitude, eyebrow a wrinkly, but see that cloud dance under the frost and that is still tightly hugged by her in the arms of little fat girl, heart bottom also anxious. Son of darkness, nothing can happen. Let all of you get out of 10 miles away, Yuzigue said. Yuzi turned around and looked at the elder and others on the other side. He amplified, Elder, you leave here first. Lord, how can this be done? Yes, maybe we can help with the situation of that girl, but don't trust the demons. The demons are cunning. Don't be fooled by him, Lord. Hearing Yuzi's words, the second, third and fourth elders obviously didn't agree. Well, since the patriarch has ordered us to leave 10 miles away, we'll talk about it later. But the elder said with dignity. After looking at the cloud dance, he looked at Yuzi and said, Lord, we will wait for you 10 miles away. If there is anything, we just need to summon by the sound transmission technique, and we will come right away. After that, he didn't wait for Yuzi to open his mouth, so he flew away first. Others may not know it, but he can see it more clearly than anyone else. Their patriarch is afraid that it is difficult to escape the disaster. He only hopes that the doomed disaster will have a good ending. And the only thing he can do for their Lord is to support him unconditionally. Because, this road is his own choice. The other three elders wanted to say something, but in the end they kept silent. After a deep look at their patriarch, he left in the direction of the elder with no choice but to shake his head. After a while, there was silence all around. Say it, how to do it. Yuzigi looks at the night. The night looked at the cloud dance, which was wrapped by the frost more and more thick. After a long time, he turned to look at Yuzi and said, Master, you seems to care about this girl very much? Are you in love with her? Don't talk nonsense. Yuzigi's words came down coldly. Tut tut, I didn't expect that the Lord of Yugoshin would be attracted to women one day. However, it's much better than that disgusting self-conceit. Yuzigi's face sank. Night just then inexplicably said, Don't tease you, want to break this frost, only need one thing, but, afraid of Jade Lord reluctant to take out. Yuzi glanced at him and frowned, What is it? Your inner Dan. After the cultivation of immortals, the inner elixir will begin to form in the elixir field. The higher the accomplishments, the more powerful the inner alchemy is. In other words, the inner alchemy of the cultivator is his life. Once the inner alchemy is broken, it is like a useless person. If you want to cultivate the inner elixir, you can't get the inner elixir of an immortal cultivator, no matter how powerful you are. My Neden. Yuzigi's face changed slightly. What Niden stands for must be very clear to any cultivator. If I remember correctly, Master you are practicing the extreme yang skill, aren't you? What can break the frost is your extreme yang inner pill. Night looking at Jade's sun return light explanation. But he still said one thing less, that is, in addition to breaking the frost on Yunwu, he also needed his Jiang Niden to break the last seal. The reason why he chose to meet the Son of Darkness in the grove outside this small town is not that this is the edge of the light system, but that this is the only weak place that he has been looking for hundreds of years to connect the seal of the demons. Yuzigi's appearance was originally expected by him, but what surprised him was what happened to Yunwu at this time. But Yuzigi's feelings for Yunwu gave him unexpected joy. He was still thinking about how to return from this Jade Sun to his extreme yang inner pill, but he didn't expect to send himself to the door. Of course, the inner elixir is related to the life of Master Yu. If Master Yu can't bear it, it's reasonable. After all, this girl has nothing to do with you. Looking at the face of Jade's Sun return to change, Night a pair of understanding like grace say. However, his eyes turned pitifully to Yunwu, she still has the Son of Darkness in her arms. Once she dies, the Son of Darkness will not survive. Isn't that what your bright faction has been hoping for? On the contrary, congratulations to Master Yu. Jade's Sun returned to smell speech, but didn't by his that seemed to retreat actually then advance of urge left and right, deep black eyes with a glimmer of unclear streamer, quietly looking at the cloud dance under the frost. On Junyi's face, I can't see any emotion at this time. It's hard to guess. Half a ring. You really only need my Neden to save her. The jade sun returns to sea toward night, the facial expression covers this layer of obscure color. The night nods, your extreme young inner pill plus my strength, it's no problem to melt away the chill on her. Good. I'll give you Nathan, but I hope you can keep your promise. After Yuzigi said that, he didn't have any hesitation, even without hesitation. With the palm close to the abdomen, use the spirit power to force the inner elixir on the elixir field and lead it out slowly from the inner body. This process seems to make him feel uncomfortable, but Yuzigi's face does not change. When he opened his mouth, a red bead flew out of his mouth. At the moment when Jiyoung Naiden came out, the temperature that had been dropping suddenly seemed to be forced into baking by a blazing fire, and the temperature began to rise in the descending radiant. The frost began to melt. And this change, all just in the jade sun returned to inside Dan that 10 seconds of that inside body of change. It seems that Jiyoung Naiden can really dissolve the ice on Yunwoo. Night saw an eye jade sun to return in the hand of inside Dan, the eye ground extremely quickly twinkled to pass a put on happy color, but also be concealed very quickly. Don't worry, I will keep my promise. The night said at the same time, then toward jade sun return stretched out a hand. It may be that Naiden is out of body, which has some influence on Yuzigi. Bearing the discomfort of the body, Yuzigi sends Naiden to the hand of that night. Z. A burst of barbecue flavor accompanied by ZZ sound, suddenly sounded in this quiet space. Night seems to ignore his palm burned by Jiyoung Inner Pill, looking at the hands of Jiyoung Inner Pill, as if the joy of the bottom of my heart is hard to hide, a happy smile in the corner of my mouth. Jiyoung Naiden, I didn't expect that master you could really do this for this girl. It's really rare. Although he said that, the night was full of joy, the burned hand turned, and Jiyoung Naiden floated from the air wrapped by his black fog power. The power of extreme darkness, wrapped in the inner elixir of extreme yang, naturally sends out a trace of rejection and counterattack. Night but hook lips a smile, a strange and powerful force, on the contrary forced to suppress. Naiden is suppressed by the extremely yin power of mutual repulsion, and Yuzi-Gui's body is also affected instantly. After an uncontrolled earthquake, his face turned pale as paper. If it wasn't for the fishy sweetness gushing from his throat, he would have vomited blood in his mouth. Don't worry, if I don't use my strength to wrap your Jiyoung Inner Pill, I'm afraid that it will destroy the square hundredly, Master you should know very well that it's not difficult to destroy the square hundredly thing with your strength. The explanation of Yexiaxio. But the change in his look made people wonder whether what he said was true or false. I saw that after the extreme sun inner pill was covered by black fog and floated, it began to slowly move towards the cloud wrapped by frost. The speed of the movement is not fast, almost very slow. But the naked eye can see that under the black fog, Jiyoung Naiden began to emit a hot red light, like a small sun hanging in mid-air, spreading around. The heat, with a masculine air, began to melt the frost in the surrounding vegetation. The frost layer wrapped with clouds also began to melt in the approach of Jiyoung Naiden. Yuzigi had been staring at the movement of Yunwoo. Seeing that the frost on her body began to melt, his pale face seemed relieved. But at the moment, his body swayed like a dead tree destroyed by the cold wind. It turned out that the forced suppression of Naiden in the black fog made him suffer the same pain. If it wasn't for him, I was afraid that he would have been dizzy. I wish she was okay. It's okay. It seems that this sentence has been echoing in his mind, and this sentence also makes his pale face pull up a smile that is uglier than crying. Cloud dance consciousness gradually wakes up from the cold darkness, and the chill that had gone deep into the bone marrow seems to have retreated from the body. Where is this? Cloud dance in front of a huge lake, in the dark of a red star shining, the lake surface shining like crystal general brilliance, very beautiful. However, it was so quiet that the silence was terrible. She suddenly felt some fear in her heart, but what was she afraid of? She doesn't know. Yunwoo looks at the lake in the dark with doubts and thinks about finding the answer from his memory. But, no. The memory is empty, I can't find anything. Therefore, Cloud Dance can only stare at the huge lake with empty eyes, silent and silent. But I don't know, the original half-soul state of her, at this time the soul was once again integrated into the body. However, the difference is that her original sea of consciousness has turned into the huge lake. However, the chaotic palace that existed in the sea of consciousness before has been broken and sunk into the lake. As for whether it has disappeared, no one can know for the moment. And the contract slot in the middle of the cloud dancing eyebrow also disappeared in the reorganization and fusion after the body was broken. Contract array disappears, summoner returns to 0. At this time of the body, like the chaos of the new reorganization, there is no so-called past life, only birth. However, the green air flow in her dantian still exists. Mulongteng, still entangled in her new wrist, but it seems to fall into a silent sleep. The frost melted and the temperature rose. Floating in the black fog in the mid-air, Jiang Naiden was not recovered. But after the ice on Yunwoo's body melted, Naiden suddenly shrouded Yunwoo's body under the force of the black fog. No, not Yunwoo's body, but the sleeping little fat girl in Yunwoo's arms. Hot Guanghua, with extremely strong yang force, straight into the little fat girl's body. Pa, some kind of boundary is broken. Originally still sleeping little fat girl, with the sound of breaking sound, slowly wake up. However, the agglutination of the light beam wrapped in her body was like a corrosive poison to her, and the original white skin suddenly began to become red and swollen. Soon, the skin began to be hot, rolling burning, ZZ sounds slightly sounded. Little fat girl had just woken up from her lethargy, her consciousness was still in a confused state, and her reaction was half a beat slower. But soon, the unbearable pain on her body made her cry out, "Woo-ah." The child's cry, sad ling such as blade, suddenly let Jade's son to face big change. What are you doing to the children? Yuzigi shouts loudly, then his hands close, just like the seal of Jifa. He wants to force his inner elixir back. But Yuzigi soon found that he couldn't control it. His inner Dan was forced by the power of the black fog. Ah! Once again the sad cry, broken air sounded. At that moment, Yuzigi felt angry. Even if it was the evil in the rumor and had to be eradicated, Yuzigi felt very upset at this time, especially when he saw that the child was under his inner alchemy, and his whole body was boiling with oil, and his anger came from the bottom of his heart. That's her baby. Even if he can't kill her, he won't allow others to kill her. Yuzigi once again tried his best to urge him to take back his inner elixir from the control of the night. Night hard to wait until this opportunity, how can let the most meat to fly. A black fog strengthened, the light of Jiang Naiden was more dazzling. The cry of the child became more and more miserable. But the night seems not to hear like, that pair of black eyes in the flicker of a strange light, fundus deep in the excitement and persistent gloomy more and more rich. Soon, soon. As long as the son of darkness insists, the seal of this weak area will be opened. It took him so many years to wait for the birth of the dark sun, and the inner elixir of Jiang came to the door automatically, just in the weak seal area. It's just like it was meant to be. Now that everything is ready, he is not polite. Today, he must break the seal of his demons. How many years have they been sealed by these fairyland people? I can hardly remember the night. However, he remembers clearly that at the beginning, it was these fairyland sects who, for high-sounding reasons, united to seal their whole demon clan in that hellish place. All that they have received will be returned to them one day. The evil intention of killing flashed through the evil eyes, and the gentle temperament was replaced by the gloomy breath. Ah woo! A baby's shrill cry suddenly sounded on the huge lake in the frightfully silent starry night. Empty and dull, looking at the clouds dancing on the surface of the sparkling lake, suddenly my body was shocked, as if scared by the sudden cry. However, it seems to be affected by the cry. Memory is a blank, she did not know where the cry came from, but the sad cry, but inexplicably hurt her heart. Whose child is that crying? Ah! There was another sad cry. Cloud Dance body once again a shock, heart once again from the heart of the general heartache, the original empty star eye flashing a beam. Whose child, ah? When the third cry came out, Yunwoo's heartache, which was cut by a knife, surged up like a flood. Child. What happened when the child cried so bitterly? The stabbing pain in the heart and inexplicable rising anxiety and anger make the blank memory space have some cracks, like something is about to come out. However, it is still a little short. Ah. More and more close to the children's wind cry, but in the fourth sound of sad cry obviously began to weaken. Yunwoo's body was suddenly shocked, as if something was forced to break through in his body, and crazy anger rolled up in his empty eyes. She didn't know where her anger came from, but with the inexplicable confusion, the huge lake, which was calm in the dark, suddenly began to turbulence. Child. What happened to the kid? Why does she feel so sad when she hears a child crying? Cloud Dance's thoughts are in a mess. What's in the originally dull and empty star eyes is twinkling, looking at the lake that is no longer calm, racking brains to find the answer. Actually, she wants to leave here, but she can't. Her body was fixed on the edge of the lake, unable to enter or retreat. Ah! The cry of the child was as painful as 10,000 knives inserted into her heart. She's going to get out of here. All of a sudden, I don't know if Cloud Dance has too much obsession. Suddenly, there is a breath in the rigid body, and it starts to run automatically. Moreover, it tends to run faster and faster. Yunwoo doesn't know what happened, but subconsciously guides, operates, and circulates, and every time she runs for a week, Yunwoo suddenly finds that there is a black and white bead in her body, and the breath of running into her body is joyfully around the bead in her body and slowly infiltrates into it. Gradually, Yunwoo found that the child's cry became clearer and clearer, and her body began to move. She felt some inexplicable excitement at the bottom of her heart, beating a little fast. If there were no great changes happening outside, Yuzi Gui and Ye would surely find out. Unfortunately, at this time, the outside world has fallen into a sea of flames under the scorching sun. Originally in the frost can see plants and plants, but now in this sea of fire turned into dead trees and ashes, around a mess of burning. Yuzi is because Niden is out of the body. The remaining power in the body can't resist the fire of the extreme yang which is forced to release by the black fog. The whole person is like being hit hard by a transparent and powerful afterwave energy, falling on the ground and raising dust all over the ground. Poof! A mouthful of blood, finally still can't help spraying out. Yuzigi endured the tumultuous pain in his body, and raised his head to look up into the air. He was controlling the night of his inner pill. You break your promise. You're not trying to save her. What do you want to do? Stop, or the child will be burned to ashes. In the roar with anger, with the strain and hoarseness caused by the injury. The Jiang Niden, which was wrapped in black fog, was just like the fiery sun. It not only wrapped the little fat girl in Yunwoo's arms, but also extended flames to the ground in all directions. His behavior is definitely not simply for Cloud Dance to relieve frost. It's like for the angry cry of Yuzigi, the night just smiles, like a sneer and a disdainful glance at him. Oh, promise? We demons don't know what the meaning of those two words is. Of course, if you could promise us at the beginning, how could it be today? Do you want to break the seal? This conjecture, let Jade's sun return pupil 1 shrink, the facial expression changes. Looking at the ground spread by the fire, a dark and mysterious Tingtu array looms. The night is both excited and excited. I can't help but want to share it with others. It seems that you are not stupid, but for a woman, you are willing to offer Jiang Niden with both hands. I can't help but be moved by Master Yu's sacrifice. Don't worry, the seal will be broken soon. At that time, our demons will have a chance to go down to Master Yu's door to have tea. Haha. The mountain was almost bare by the fire, suddenly the temperature dropped, and the fire on the ground began to spread along the mysterious totem. Soon, the flame was about to form, and the orderly Tingtu was printed on the ground. If you look down from a high place, you can see clearly that this totem has the shape of a phoenix. The only difference is that the eyes of the phoenix are extremely dark, just like two black holes. The black hole's eyes are just below Yunwoo and the child, and the inner elixir of the extreme sun floats above Yunwoo and the child. 3 points in a line, the fiery red beam, shot down from Niden, passed through the weak little fat girl's body, and reached the eyes. The little fat girl was as bloody as she had been fished out of the boiling oil. She was in great pain, but she couldn't die for a moment. Just the shrill cry, more and more weak. But the knight doesn't care about it. Instead, it urges the extreme young inner pill to break the seal on the ground in one fell swoop, so as not to dream too much. The 4 old men 10 miles away knew something was wrong when the extreme yang inner pill was powerful. However, the inner pill of the extreme yang set a boundary in a certain position when it opened the seal. This is also to prevent the knight in breaking the seal when there is damage. The 4 old men were just outside the border. "Elder, what can we do? Once we break through the barrier set by the power of the Lord's extreme yang, it will certainly do harm to the Lord." The elder asked anxiously. The 4 didn't know that Yuzi was under the control of the knight. They just thought that the power border was set by their patriarch. The elder also has a deep brow. What are they doing? Even in order to save that girl, it's not as good as destroying the creatures in 100 miles. Is it related to the demon? But if we fight according to the strength of both sides, on the contrary, the strength of their patriarch is a little higher, then the demons are better, and there should be no big accident. But what's the matter with the high temperature around here? They didn't hear the call of Yuzi Gui, and there was the border set by the power of the extreme yang in front of them. They didn't know whether they should break the border and go in to check. Wait a little longer. Finally, the elder decided to give their patriarch some time. However, he did not know that their delay almost led to disaster. Jade returns to the mountain. Cloud Palace. The strange statue in the center of the hall suddenly flashed a light, and the vivid eyes seemed to move for a while. Then, the stone statue suddenly vibrated. It seems to be activated by something, but the vibration is only maintained for a short time, and then the calm is restored. If the 4 elders of Yugushin or Yuzigi didn't leave the sect, they would feel the movement. It's a pity that those who can live in the sect are those who are not qualified to enter the temple. So, mist. The road to the light zone. Long Qingxie's almost all-out spiritual power was raised. He didn't care whether the people following him could keep up with him. He only felt that if he didn't hurry up, he would lose something. That sense of panic, as more and more close to the bright area, more and more clear. Long Qingxie gritted his teeth to improve his flying speed again, but that was his fastest speed. All the scenes around him turned into streamers, and there was little breath left. That speed, like a ray of light across the air, faster and more urgent than a meteor. Those who had followed him could catch up at first, but they were still far behind. They want to stop Long Qingxie and slow him down. Unfortunately, as soon as he left the Dark Cloud Palace, Long Qingxie could not cover up anymore. He just obeyed his own feelings and went madly in the direction where Yunwu was now. Wait for him. Wait for him. More and more flustered, let Long Qingxie force himself to improve his speed again. The child's crying is almost out of hearing. Yunwu is speeding up the operation of his breath, urging him to absorb the bead quickly, so that he can leave here and see what happened to the child. Maybe it's Yunwu's urging speed is fast enough, or maybe Yunwu is anxious to know what happened to the crying child. I saw that the dark sky with only a red star suddenly began to fade, gray, light gray. Gradually, the light began to cut through the gray sky, shrouded in her body. The light was a little harsh. But Yunwu felt that his body was no longer stiff and could not move. But then came the pain of burning her chest. It was as if she was holding a piece of red iron, which made her very painful. Almost at the moment when I opened my eyes, I was subconsciously about to shake off the hot iron in my arms. But as soon as the gesture of throwing out was raised, all the movements of Yunwu were still. With a trace of confused star eyes, when you see what you have in your hands, Yunwoo only feels hazy in front of her eyes, and a huge anger and heartache attack her in her chest. Child. The hot iron in her arms is actually a child. The smell of burnt barbecue is bloody. Cloud Dance only feel a blank in the mind, but the body subconsciously hold the hands of the child once again tightly into the arms, as if can't feel the burning pain disappeared. Child. Misty eyes, tears unconscious slide, dripping on the bloody child, aroused Zizi's tragic voice. This movement has affected the sad little fat girl who has closed her eyes. She slowly opens her eyes to see her mother who finally wakes up. However, just open your eyes, as if exhausted all her strength. Blood bubbles are constantly broken in the high temperature and come out again, bloody and cruel. Who on earth is so cruel to such a small child? At the bottom of Yunwoo's heart, she was extremely distressed and angry, but the next moment, she led the black and white round bead endosulfan energy from her palm, followed the movement of the energy, and sent it to the bloody child in her arms. Mom! It hurts energy into the body. The little fat girl opened her eyes, burning hoarse voice, called out her mother for the first time. Mom? 2 words, like a big hammer, suddenly hit her head. After buzzing, the wall of blank memory finally broke. Memory fragments hit, like a beast, quickly dyed her eyes red. Her child. This is her child. Yunwoo only felt that her throat was dry and tight, and the faster she could send her own energy into her child's body, but she could not hide her tempestuous fury in her red tears. If she dares to hurt her child, she must tear the man to pieces. But looking at the weak dying, bloody daughter in her arms, the cloud-dancing fury is still less than 1/10,000th of heartache. Don't be afraid, Mom will protect you. Yunwoo lowers her head and kisses her forehead, where the blood bubble is not half separated, and pours the pure energy in her body directly into her small head through her lips and into the sea of consciousness in her mind. She didn't know how much pure spiritual power she had in her body, but she felt that this spiritual power could heal her wounds and protect her. To pure spiritual power into energy, from the mind began to spread the whole body, fast swimming. The skin that had been burned by blood blisters was moistened and restored by the miraculous power. The skin began to slow down its temperature, began to eliminate the blood blisters, and then slowly healed the split wound at that moment. A steady stream of pure spiritual power seeped out in the position of cloud dance. The original hot beam seemed to lose its brilliance at that moment. The seal crack on the ground, which was about to be formed, stopped at that moment, and the faint halo began to recede. No way. How could she? At the moment of sensing the change of the aura, the knight looks at the cloud dance with slight amazement. But it's just a step to the door. He can't just let that woman destroy him. Even for the sake of the demon clan and his painstaking efforts over the years, he would not allow anyone to destroy his plan. Gloomy black eyes across a fierce, the hand of the seal suddenly complicated, fast up, all over the body suddenly covered by black fog, the sky also gradually began to cloud. You asked for it. Originally, he did not intend to kill them. The Son of Darkness is the necessary bridge to open the seal border. He doesn't give up killing, but Yunwoo, the woman, has a great use value for him. However, if they want to resist and obstruct his plan at this time, don't blame him for being merciless. This seal must be broken. As long as the seal can be torn from here, the demons will be able to return to the fairyland continent from here and regain everything belonging to them. They have to sacrifice for the sake of the demons. Heart set, the knight that deep eyes no longer any trace of pity hesitation, and even, in the absence of emotional fluctuations, is that cruel, decisive. With the dark clouds in the sky, the black fog that enveloped Jiang Naiden suddenly turned gloomy, as if it suddenly became extremely haze and ferocious. Yuzi Gui on the ground had no time to wake up, and his body was attacked by some force. Yes, he covered his chest with his hand, and a mouthful of blood gushed out on the spot. His face was pale and frightening, but Yuzigi still looked up and looked straight at the cold night. If you dare to move her, even if you go to the ends of the earth, I will certainly tear you to pieces. Hoarse voice with anger, but because of serious injury and hard to make people cannot hear the threat. The knight just glanced at him coldly, then crooked his lips and disdained to smile. Also at that time, floating in the clouds above them that was wrapped in the black fog of the extreme sun and Asulfan, once again forced to arouse the most powerful beam. The dazzling red beam of light struck down like lightning. Yunwu, who was still inputting spiritual power to the child, saw the light beam. When she saw the light beam, her body was faster than her brain's reaction. She suddenly turned over, protected the child under her body, and resisted the light beam with her own back. It's not that she doesn't want to flash to the side, but that their surroundings have been trapped by the boundary of Jiangnidan, forming a limited channel of Jiangnidan, the ground, 3 points and a line. ZZ. The clothes on the back were burned instantly, the flesh and blood were roasted in high temperature, the light beam went through the body, and entered the little fat girl's body again, and entered the seal on the ground. However, this time, because of the cloud dance on it, the power of the light beam on the little fat girl was reduced a lot. Mom, woo-woo. Yunwu was convulsed in pain. He held little fat girl's palm, but still infused her with a few spiritual powers in her body. He pulled the corner of his mouth and said, "Don't be afraid, there's a mother." Little fat girl wanted to cry, but looking at her mother, she put up with it. Her skin, which had not been repaired, began to get red and swollen again. She is in pain, but her mother must be more. The little hand that began to blister again touched Yunwu's red and swollen face and gave her a painful blow. Mom, hoo-hoo. At this moment, Yunwu doesn't feel the pain on her body, but she feels her heartache is going to be full of holes. Her children. It's only been more than 2 months. Since she gave birth to her, she hasn't given her a good day except for hiding and wandering. However, she is much more sensible than ordinary people. Now her whole body is burning with blood blisters, and she can't help the pain even as an adult, but she still breathes comfort for her frustrated mother. Tears open the gate can no longer help falling. Yunwu suddenly felt that if she was not so useless, would her child not suffer such a crime? Knight did not expect that cloud dance again to make trouble. Although the power of Jiang inner elixir passed through the two people, there was a cloud dance on it, but the bridge of dark sun was weakened, which would only slowly break the seal. When the seal is broken, I believe it will soon attract those old people. At that time, it will not be so easy to break the seal. Damned woman, she's really ignorant. Okay, I'll destroy you first. The night suddenly flashed, and the figure wrapped in black fog came to the middle of the 3 o'clock line, that is, the side of Cloud Dance. Although Cloud Dance is burned by the light beam as if it is about to turn into ashes, but also in the night to feel, look up, red eyes directly on the cold eyes. At this time of the night, the whole body is full of chili, so I'm afraid that is his real appearance as a demon. Remember, even if I become a ghost, one day I will come back and tear down your bones and skin. The breath is weak, but every word in the words is very heavy and clear. I hope you have another chance. The knight has no expression, the wrist moves, the black fog turns into a sharp blade, has already delimited that boundary, has attacked the chest position of the Cloud Dance. The cloud danced dully to hum a, the corner of the mouth blood oozes out. Originally thought, the knife into the heart, she will die, no doubt, once the human body died, no spiritual support, the power of the extreme yang inner alchemy can instantly turn her body into ashes. But no. It's not dead, it's not reduced to ashes. See Cloud Dance in dull hum, the body slightly vibrated for a while, next second. Night that gloomy facial expression suddenly changed for a while, some can't believe to stare at Cloud Dance that knife into chest position. The black fog magic knife was still in the chest, but the blood was quickly turned into nothingness by a white light, including the blade inserted into the flesh and blood, which disappeared under the white light, leaving only the exposed one. How could that be? How could she? However, people don't know that the body of Yunwu's Fantai had been crushed to pieces under the previous strength. Now, her body seems to be restored by the adhesion of fragments. In fact, every cell and pore of her body is reshaped by the pure spiritual power in the Hall of Chaos. Its super healing ability is beyond ordinary people's understanding. Otherwise, Chaos Hall will not be able to rebuild her body, but because it outputs too much spiritual power, it will not be able to support, break down and become the huge lake in the sea of her consciousness. Of course, no one knows. Even Yunwoo herself, she doesn't know why. Even, some memories are still in the process of not recovering. Although the night was shocked and unbelievable, it also quickly reflected that the dark eyes had been staring at her. Soon, the corner of his mouth outlined strangely. It seems that other things can't hurt you, but the power of the extreme yang inner pill can. Under the light beam of Jiang Niden, Yunwoo's body was burned, and there was no healing at all. So it can be seen that this Jiang Niden can hurt her. Yuzigi calms down his own heavy damage and disorderly breath, and naturally hears the words behind the night. Does he want to kill her with Jiang Niden? He soon saw the answer with his own eyes. Night is to achieve the goal can be unscrupulous people, and even can do cold-blooded ruthless also at all costs. As long as the seal can be broken, all those who hinder his road plan will die. The light beam of Jiang Niden was strengthened again. Not only the flowers and plants all around were destroyed, but even the ground began to crack because of the high temperature. Under the scorching heat, this area is like entering a sea of hellfire. Looking at the night without hesitation or change of face, Yuzigi's face changed greatly. Regardless of his weakness, he jumped up and flew to the cloud, trying to stop the attack, which was like destroying heaven and earth. But even if he was faster and faster, he still couldn't be faster than the power of lightning. Seeing that Yunwoo and the child were about to be destroyed, Yuzigi never felt so powerless. But at that moment, the boundary of space seemed to be suddenly knocked open by something. Boom! The roar still reverberated in the air, but the residual shadow of the streamer had already flashed into the position of a large and a small blood person under the light beam of the extreme Yang Niden. Dazzling and dazzling light, just at the same time when the Jiang Niden beam attacked the streamer, burst out like fireworks. Eyes can't open, hot power waves swept around. Kaka. Within the boundary of 3 o'clock and a line, there was a sudden sound of glass breaking. And then, in that blinding situation. Wow! Broken into pieces of crash falling sound, crash in the ear sounded falling. As a result, the ground vibrated, and the powerful heat flow overflowed. Yuzigi, who had just jumped into the air, was too close to the position of the light beam, so he was hit down the ground again in the afterwave. Regardless of the injury on his body, Yuzi looked up and couldn't believe that he opened his eyes wide. He was staring at the dazzling light and began to see clearly. When the light dissipated and the figure holding a large and a small blood man was clearly seen, the complex emotions such as depression and loneliness unconsciously infected his eyes. It's him. The man she remembers. The man who made him feel like a hindrance before he met him. Originally, he was also ambitious to think that with him, he would never let this man have a chance to see her and become his obstacle. However, he seemed to understand that even if this man was just a mortal in the human world, even if he and she were destined enemies, he could not get involved in them. Looking at the evil and angry man in the air, looking at the man's eyes when he looked at the cloud dance, he suddenly couldn't help laughing bitterly. It turns out that love can't be explained in 1 or 2 sentences. The black figure in the night was also impacted in the afterwave of the sudden diffusion, and the boundary was broken, which made his mouth overflow with a touch of scarlet. Long Qingxie, it's you. Why are you here? When you see clearly the person who suddenly appears and breaks his boundary, the corner of the eye of the night instantly takes on a touch of Yin, coldly looking at the dragon. Isn't he captured by Dark Cloud Palace? How can you still be safe in this bright area? Long Qingxie did not answer him. No, it can even be said that all his attention now is not on anyone, but on the bloody little woman in his arms. The original white and delicate skin has long been unable to see half of its original appearance. After the blood bubble was damaged, blood flowed out and dyed the whole body red. Even the delicate and beautiful face could not see its original appearance. If the breath is not still weak, I think it is a broken body. At this time, the cloud dance can only be described as extremely miserable and ugly. But Dragon Qingxie is like looking at her most precious treasure, holding it carefully in her arms. Her loving eyes almost stick to her. Dance, are you okay? Low and hoarse voice, with inexplicable trembling voice asked. He was afraid that a little louder, it would break the people in his arms. However, in his heart, the killing intention like burning fire was about to break out like the river and sea. Just a little bit. If he's just a little bit late, he'll lose her. When I thought of the scene I saw when I arrived, the rolling and killing intention in the heart of Long Qingxie became more and more intense. But at this time, he did not dare to let go, afraid of a let go, even the last faint breath will disappear. Little guy, come back to me when you hear me. Don't scare me. Dragon Qingxie holds Cloud Dance, trembling voice incomparably soft. I don't know if it's his call, or Cloud Dance is just a short daze by the impact, the closed eyes, slowly opened after trembling. However, the original bright star eyes, but because of burning and become red hazy. Cloud Dance looked at the hazy shadow in front of him, because of the familiar sound, and tears poured out. Although some of her memories are missing, she can't forget the man who goes deep into her bone marrow even if all her memories are lost. I've been waiting for you for a long time. How did you come? Throat dry and hoarse, but still cannot hide her deep thoughts. More than a year. She has lost him for more than a year, and there is nothing to fill her missing for him. Yunwu also wants to hug him and kiss him to make up for her missing for him. However, she is so weak and painful that she can hardly speak. I'm sorry, dancer. I should have shown up earlier. Self-blame ferments in the bottom of my heart, heartache almost drowns him. If he didn't worry so much at the beginning, he would have escaped to look for her when he sensed that she might be in the fairyland. Wouldn't she not have to suffer such a crime? However, there is no if in the world. Cloud Dance pulled the corner of the mouth laboriously. It's okay, I forgive you, but you don't forget your daughter. Even though her hands were weak, she moved the weak child in her arms. Child, I have never met my father. And he has never seen a child. However, I never thought that the scene of father-daughter meeting would be like this. Daughter? Long Qingxie's eyes went down. When he saw the little blood man in her arms, he felt that his heart was cut to pieces again. His daughter, this is his daughter. However, in front of this little girl, the same bloody terrible, only the faint breath. Long Qingxie's eyes turned red, and the trembling of his body made Cloud Dance feel it. If there's something wrong with our mother and daughter, help me kill the night and find my son. Cloud Dance strong hold a breath, with strong willpower to let himself not faint. But she knew that she couldn't last long. She didn't know whether she was dead or alive, but whether she was alive or dead, she must let that night die. Even if she can't kill him with her own hands, she should let her father do it with his own hands. Hurt her, use her, you can. But he shouldn't, he just wanted to kill her child. But at this time, there was a cry. Quick, destroy that inner pill. Yuzigi's face was very pale, and his deep eyes had been infected with a touch of worry and anxiety. I saw that the neglected knight, but seized the opportunity, immediately fully aroused the extreme yang inner pill wrapped by his black fog, want to open all the energy of the extreme yang inner pill to the extreme. But that will not only destroy everything within 100 miles, but also destroy Yunwu in this world. Yuzigi feels the change in the control of Naiden, and immediately shouts to Longqingxi, asking him to destroy Naiden. Only when the extreme yang inner Dan is destroyed, the inner Dan's power carrying him will disappear. And in that way, he will become a complete loser. The knight didn't expect Jade's son return unexpectedly for Cloud Dance. Don't hesitate to want to destroy own inside Dan. In his spare time, he quickened the speed of opening the seal, but how could Long Qingxie make him achieve his goals so easily? Hurt his women and children. It's not enough to pay for your life. The scarlet eyes reflect the blood of the person in his arms. The dark liquid seems to flow in his eyes. The darkness sets off scarlet, and the waves are more strange. That high ground, go to exhausted anger, kill intention. The situation is changing, the seal is opening at the fastest speed bit by bit, the sky is more dark, strange black clouds layer upon layer, the smell of the demon family is more and more strong. If we don't destroy Niden, the seal will be lifted. And she will be destroyed. The Jade Sun returns an eye to see the seal be lifted bit by bit, again hard with shout. Does it have anything to do with me that the seal has been lifted? Long Qingxie stood up, and the darkness around his body was no less than that of the seal being lifted. Yuzigi felt the darkness from Long Qingxie and was stunned for a second. What's the matter with this dark smell? And no less than the darkness in the seal. The next second, when he carefully felt the darkness, the treacherous darkness of that moment would not be felt. Is it an illusion? Or the darkness more terrible than the seal has not yet been fully awakened? There was an anomaly in the air. Yuzigi looks at the seal that is about to be broken, and his face is a little worried. When he urges the dragon to do it quickly, a black phantom sweeps towards the direction of the night, leaving only a voice of deep anger reverberating around. I'm not for the seal, not for the common people, just for my women and children. Bang! There was a loud bang like thunder in the sky, and the black clouds rolled, tearing open the sky in an instant. The two layers of black clouds kept retreating, forming a gully in the middle. In an instant, they gathered again and attacked again, and each impact was shaking. Long Qingxie. The night hisses and roars. Almost. Almost. He almost succeeded. It's all him. Long Qingxie. Controlling the dark power, looking at the seal that was almost cracked, now it is thousands of miles away from me. The night is also scarlet, and the look of the fundus of my eyes is gloomy. The impact of the dark forces shook the earth again, and the huge thunder was splitting. The sound was like a dull thunder, which spread to every corner of Yugui Mountain, and even to the dark cloud palace. The cloud dances hazily to see the dragon that is engulfed by the darkness to pour evil, the chest is like to press a big stone somewhere to be out of breath. The darkness was almost integrated with him, but he was in accordance with the terrible vortex of darkness. There was something in the endless scarlet anger. All of a sudden, her worried eyebrows suddenly tightened, as if she was fighting against something with all her strength. The bloody body suddenly sank, as if it was pulled down by something invisible, and it was useless for her to resist. Children. She was dragged down with the child in her arms. Mom. The little fat girl seemed to feel the danger and opened her eyes weakly. Yunwu looks at her daughter in her arms, and seems to guess the situation after she is pulled down. Her heart is suddenly excited, and the inexplicable surging inside her body stirs up. Dragon Qingxie looks at the clouds that are sucked away by the suction. His scarlet blood eyes are extremely cold. A dark force passes across the sky. The power of the night knocks back the night 5 steps directly. In the gap, the dragon swept in the direction of Cloud Dance. If you break my business, let her be buried with the child. The night pursues the dragon's evil, and the twisted vines formed by the black fog attack the dragon's evil. The dragon leans away from the cloud. Damn it! While facing the death of the night, looking at the cloud dance which was absorbed by the huge suction of the seal, the angry eyes directly became bloody. He can't lose her again. Absolutely not. But the strength of the night is not so easy to get rid of, let alone a night that is close to madness and killing. In this case, unless he is dead, it is impossible to put Dragon Qingxie to save Yunwu. With a hoarse roar, Long Qingxie began to concentrate on dealing with the night. The black silk is messy in the dark, and it is integrated with the dark. The black robe is swaying and ripping at the air. The one who has been fighting like a mad dog just because she is very dangerous now. Cloud Dance looks at that white figure, the corner of the mouth suddenly outlines a tiny radiance. Seems to be smiling. Her man, struggling for her mother and daughter, was suddenly in a better mood. As long as you look at him, she will feel that everything is at ease, heart, all the complex feelings, that moment together he brought him. Broken body down, but looking at the child's eyes is so distressed. If a person lives on 10% of her strength, Yunwoo now has only half of her strength to barely breathe, but now she is using negative numbers that her body can't bear. Those forces that can't be used, once they are used, the light may run out. It could be death. But she had no choice. She must resist, fight with her men, protect their children and live together. In the fall, the bloody figure suddenly turned over, fell off the split position on the ground, and then slowly climbed up from the ground. The nearly broken body should have fallen down, but now on the other side of the road blocked by cracks, Yuzuki looks at Yunwoo with a look of horror. Why does a woman from human world always do things beyond his expectation? It's like an immortal Ado. When he falls down, he gets up again, Long Qingxie, I want you to see your women and children melt into the seal with your own eyes. The knight is rampant to smile, deal with Long Qingxie, he dare not have one to throw to distract, can only talk with Cloud Dance, to Long Qingxie, roar away, Cloud Dance, if you don't work against me, I still really like you a little bit. I like you, a woman who seems to be dying but still alive. Yunwoo resisted the attraction of the seal with her last consciousness and strength, but it didn't help. The power of the seal was so powerful that the black fog rolling out of the seal was close to them. Poof! The bright red liquid spurted out, flowed down the corner of the mouth, and seeped into the soil drop by drop. Poof! The bright red liquid spurted out, flowed down the corner of the mouth, and seeped into the soil drop by drop. Mom, the little fat girl in a coma called her mom like a babble. Because she was the son of darkness, she was born with a sense of the dark power. The powerful dark power in the seal felt her, which was wild and terrifying, and scared her. The cloud dances the blood color pupil eye to look at the daughter, the blood baptism passes, the robe is ticking the blood drop, blooms in the dark to crumble. Looking at the fierce battle with the Knight of the Dragon poor evil one eye, the body can't help but fall down. Long Qingxie, I can't hold it. The powerful seal power is full of her broken body, and it seems to shuttle through her body like tyrannical dragons, but she doesn't feel any pain at all. It seems that this body is no longer her own, just a body without feeling soul. Dance! The hoarse voice penetrated the dark barrier and reached Yunwoo's ear. Yunwoo, who was sealed and sucked, was already in a semi-coma when she heard this sentence. The anxious hoarse voice reassured her a lot. He'll save them. Thinking of this, she hugged her baby with all her strength. It's no shame to put hope on her man. What she has to do is to let them live well and wait for him. 1 second before being sucked into the crack seal, Yunwoo looks at the man in the black fog, and his pale and dry lips start half a curve. Long Qingxie, if you keep me waiting too long, I'll stop you. Dance! The dark power hovers in the sky like a dragon. In the next second, it will destroy the sky and the earth and rush to the night. At that moment, the dragon will move quickly to the seal. The black silk was straight, and the black robe made a clanging sound in the air. The sound of air tearing passed by. The black phantom disappeared like a spot. When it appeared, it was close to the seal. He saw and heard her eyes and her words. Looking at the desperate dragon Qingxie, the knight showed a strange smile, a little embarrassed figure, the same fast toward the seal. Dragon's target is Cloud Dance, and his target is Jiang Naiden. The powerful seal power is what they can fight against. Even the Dark Emperor's dragon Qingxie can't fight against it before he fully awakens the dark power. He seems to be crazy and close to the clouds, and is crazy against the seal. Thorn. There was a sound of breaking. The seal suddenly turned dark, and the dark force rolled up Yunwoo and the children like a black Milky Way, and pulled them into the seal with the force of storm. Dance. It's too late. I use my life to protect her. You help me destroy Naiden. You can't let him open the seal of the demons. Cloud Dance has been pulled into the seal, but there is still a distance between dragon and dark entrance, and Yuzi's return is only 1 step away, only he can accompany her down. The voice falls, then see Jade's son return without hesitation of toward Cloud Dance disappear position jump down. The next second, the evil spirit from the seal disappeared, and everything was calm, as if nothing had happened just now. The knight looked at the seal that was about to be opened and restored to its original state. How could no way? Jiang inner pill is still there, seal is still there, how can seal isn't it? Is that her? It must be that woman, it must be that she was sucked into the seal and weakened the evil spirit of the seal. Ah, he roared at heaven like a tear. His efforts were wasted. His long-term plan ended like this. Heard the strange rush to the elder suddenly stopped. What's the matter? Why can't you feel it all of a sudden? The elder can't think when he looks at the magic chi that suddenly disappears in the direction of the seal. Who sealed the seal again? Two elder looking at this circumstance way. Just after the seal vibrated, several of them felt that the seal was loose and rushed to see that the seal was about to be lifted. Who could return the seal to its original shape at this critical moment? As far as he knows, there is no one in the whole fairyland who can put the seal back in an instant, right? Don't talk about it. The patriarch is still there. Let's go and see the situation first. Let's go. In front of my eyes, everything is calm. There is not a drop of blood on the bloody ground. Everything swallowed by the darkness is bright again. There are white clouds floating in the torn cloud. Who can see that there was a fight with life as a gamble here? Looking at the disappearing Yunwu and the child, the anger on Long Qingxia's body is getting worse and worse. Knight unconsciously after move a footstep, squint the eyes son of Yinli to look at the dragon to pour evil. How is the feeling that destroys on his body to return a responsibility? Why is there such a dignified dark gas? The black mist is around the dragon. The cut robe shows the skin. The bronze skin has become black now, and you can see the black gas in the flesh flowing with the blood. What's going on? Long Qingxia turned around, a pair of scarlet eyes reflecting the shadow of the knight. The shadow stayed in his eyes. A closer look, the shadow was cut into two sections in his eyes. In a flash, the evil spirit billows like smoke. The dragon's evil body is like an endless container, emitting endless dark power. That power is stimulated from somewhere in his body, through the elixir field, through the viscera, running in the blood, breaking through the skin, which is the dark power of combining with him. That is the power that belongs to the Dark Emperor. In the name of the Dark Emperor, I declare that you can die. Death's hoarse voice, not too excited and angry, hit the knight's chest like a heavy stone, and a mouthful of blood gushed out of his mouth. You are. Bang! A black giant thunder hit the sky. The sky was covered by darkness. The sky and the earth changed color like night. Under the night, the two men's figures crossed. Suddenly, the darkness faded, and the cloud sky returned to its original color. When the four elders arrived, they saw Long Qingxia and Yi standing there in black robes. Long Qingxia's robe is in a state of disrepair, with exposed skin and messy black hair. The whole person looks embarrassed, but the robe of night is intact. Although it looks tired, it is not as embarrassed as Long Qingxia. The four elders looked at each other, and their eyes were very strange, especially the eyes of Dragon Qingxia. They were surprised and shocked, just as they were surprised when they knew more and more about Cloud Dance. Bang! A shadow fell to the ground. Hissing. In the dark, there was a strange sound. A bloody woman and a bloody child. Jia Jia, I love it, one child can satisfy you, and this woman belongs to me. Jia Jia, you want to be beautiful. Cloud Dance in a coma in the dark frowned slightly, spoke one after another, and her voice beat her consciousness, but she still didn't have the strength to wake up. Who's talking? Scissors, stone, paper, whoever wins the women's country belongs to whom, of course, the child belongs to the loser. What? Cloud Dance heard this sentence, consciousness immediately alert up, someone wants to move her children. Subconsciously, I want to hold the baby in my arms, but my body can't move at all. That's it. Stone scissors. I haven't agreed to divide them up. Qingma's voice doesn't have any ups and downs. The man in white stands in front of the stone scissors and cloth, and looks at them indifferently, but his elegant face is a little pale. Jia Jia, there was a useless man. The child belongs to you, the woman to me. Why? What's the use of this waste? The man looked back at Yuzi and said, a waste dares to come out to save the beauty. Even if you say you can save a yellow flower girl, you can save a woman who even has a baby. For the sake of being a waste, find a cool place to end it by yourself. Although Yunwu was still in a coma, she was conscious. She heard what the man said clearly. And she felt a very unusual breath here. The breath is absolutely strong dark breath, the smell of the demons. It seems that every corner, every breath of air is filled with the smell of the demons. Is she really sucked into the demons by the seal? Yuzigi looks at the two people in front of him, and lowers his eyes. These two people have the unique smell of the demons. It seems that this is the sealed demons. The demons here have been sealed here for thousands of years. They have not kept up with the pace of evolution outside, and still maintain the original characteristics of the demons. Scissors Stone. Why don't you die? Jia Jia, it's absolutely impossible for us demons to leave alive, because our demons have a rule that has not changed for thousands of years, but it's not that the demons break into the demons without permission. They must die. The demon people smile at Yuzi Guejie. He says that there is a rule, but there is no such rule since the day when the demon people are sealed. Now the reason why they want him to die is very simple. It's because he and Yunwu stopped the seal from opening. Now the whole demon people are looking for these two people. Stone Scissors. My life is not up to you, a scissors, stone and cloth. The voice of indifference rings out from behind Yuzigi. Yuzigi's back is stiff. She looks back at the woman in blood behind her. The woman smiles at him and gives him the little fat girl in her arms. Then she goes over him to the two demons. Her pale lips open a radiant and burst out a smile. The smile is pale and weak, but she can't hide her own indifference and cunning guanghua. Since you like games so much to solve problems, let's play a game. Shen Wujie stood up with a smile. What do you use to play games with us? Take the first thing you do when you see us. Isn't it enough to kill us? Shen 5 Shen 6 look at each other, not by Cloud Dance see through the camouflage of the mind, on the contrary Big Square admitted. Jia Jia, I like it. How do you want to play? Simple, I'll give you a question, you give me a question, a total of 3 questions, answer correctly, you win. Jia Jia, it's interesting. What if you answer wrong? Cloud Dance way, good say, answer wrong a problem take off a, how do you think? Jia Jia. It's interesting. I'll play with you. I think you're wearing only 2 clothes. Cloud Dance hooks the corner of his mouth and takes a look at Yuzi Gui. Yuzi Gui turns around with little fat girl and moves away a few steps. The second he turns around, the corner of his mouth seems to be stained with a helpless expression. This woman really surprised him more and more. She was indifferent but attached importance to love and righteousness. She was unsmiling but clever. Which one was the real one? She was full of holes in the body, and now she can stand and deal with them. This woman is really incredible, too simple. This is the doom in his life, a doom that he can't escape. Unfortunately she is the mother of the son of darkness. The son of darkness must die to save life. Yuzigi looks at the little fat girl in her arms. The little fat girl is sleeping. There is no dark breath on her sleeping face. It's so calm that people can't help taking care of her. In a coma, her fleshy lips are still talking to her mother. Yuzigi's faint eyes are covered with warmth. Over there, Yunwu and Shenlu have started the game. 5 birds in the tree, 1 shot down. How many birds are there in the tree? 4. No. Take off, why don't you take it off? Shall I take it off for you? What's wrong? 1 shot down, the rest were scared away, so the answer was none. Shenwu and Shenlu nodded at the same time. Then it's our turn to ask. Didn't you just ask? Cloud Dance picked eyebrow tip, now it's my turn. What's the most powerful saber move of Pirate King Solon? Shin 5 Shin 6 look at each other at the same time. Pirate King? Sauron? What is that? I don't know, do I? Take off. Why is this woman in such a hurry? While thinking that there must be something strange in it, the loser was taking off his clothes. Just as they took off their clothes, Yunwu picked up the clothes and ran away, his eyes leaping with the light of victory. While running, he yelled and waved to Yuzigi, "Run, there are two abnormal people without clothes. Come on." Shin Wushin Liuqi's face is green and her nose is crooked. This shameless woman. So there was this scene, two men were forced to take off their clothes by a woman, watching the woman run away. Instead of chasing them, they hid in the dark, dark sky, dark air, dark everything. It is as dark as hell, full of dignified atmosphere everywhere, just like a place where Luo Cha and Yen Luo live, full of the smell of death everywhere. This is the demon clan. A place where there is no light but darkness. Yunwu and Yuzigi change into Shin Wushin 6 clothes and put on a black flame lip, which is a symbol of the demons. Then they enter the demons. Today is the festival of hanging sacrifice. It's said that the devil's sect has found sacrifices to worship the devil god. Let's get there in a hurry. Maybe we can get a piece of it. I don't know if this sacrifice is delicious enough. Hanging festival. Yunwu and Yuzigi take a look at each other. After the discussion, they follow those people to the demon sect. If you want to go back to the fairyland, you must find a way to go back, but if you can find a way out of the demon world so easily, these demons will not be trapped here for thousands of years. If you want to find an outlet, you have to take your time. The first thing you have to do is to understand the survival rules of the demons. To survive, maybe the hanging festival is the first breakthrough. Outside the demon clan. In the dark, everything has nothing to do with day. The whole demon sect is in the light of fire. The 4 cliffs are as bright as fire. Against the background of the night, the fire is bright and red. It looks like it is in a red-burned grotto. The whole demon sect is indeed a grotto. There are many rooms and lobbies in the grotto. Yunwu is now located in the periphery of the Mazong headquarters. If you want to enter the Mazong headquarters, you have to go through the Qiandiao Bridge. Qiandiao Bridge is spiritual. If someone enters by force, the final result must be to fall off the suspension bridge and fall into the corpse cave and become a walking corpse. Cloud Dance looked at the corpse cave under the suspension bridge, star eyes narrowed. Below is a sea of blood, blood like boiling gurgling still steaming with gas. Freshman look is really blood, a closer look at the upper layer is blood like insects swimming, crowded together. And this, festival of hanging sacrifices, is to hang sacrifices to this corpse cave. The sacrifice of hanging sacrifices is the man tied to the cross. Cloud Dance looked at the embarrassed man, red fruit with the upper body, disheveled, looks like has been in a coma. Suddenly Cloud Dance in his red fruit arm found a mark. It is a cherry blossom mark. Cherry blossom. The indifferent star eyes shrunk and looked around curiously. How could the cherry trees grow in the place where he could not see each other's face? The answer is definitely not to grow. Since it can't grow out, why does this person have a cherry blossom mark on his arm? There are only 2 answers. One is that he also comes from outside the seal. The other is that the people he knows come from outside the seal. No matter what the answer is, this person, she can't let him die. But now her body doesn't allow her to save people, and Yuzigi has lost Naiden, and her power is exhausted, let alone involve him. Yuzigi didn't know what she was thinking. Yunwu saw his complicated eyes at that moment, and he knew what she was thinking and worried about. Looking at the person who was tied, he also noticed the cherry blossom mark. Saving this person might be a big breakthrough to find the exit. Don't worry. Maybe we're not the only ones trying to save him. Yuzigi said quietly beside Yunwu. Cloud Dance nodded. The world is changeable, any miracle can happen. In view of the present situation, she can only comfort herself. Psychological comfort effect is still a little. I didn't expect that this year's festival's offerings were so good. Who doesn't say, in case of offending the corpse god. Just when Yunwoo was listening, a ghost-like voice came in the distance. Today is the festival of condolence. It's a good day to see blood. A man in a black robe stood at the other end of the suspension bridge, with a thick black beard wrapped around his black lips, a black lotus mark on his forehead, and a dark atmosphere around him. Cloud Dance looks at that person, low brow tip. This person doesn't seem to be the common demon clan person. On the body's demon clan breath and the hostility are obviously stronger than others many. And what he said just now, why does it have a different meaning in her ears? It's a good day to see blood. If that's the case after entering the demon clan, I don't know what the reason is. She feels that although the evil spirit around her body is strong, it doesn't have the feeling that she wants to devour her. On the contrary, her body with many holes seems to be nourished because she came here, which makes her stand up and walk like a normal person. It's clearly a demon family here. Where can the power nourish her? The man in front of you has been lurking in our demon world for 100 years. The purpose is to prevent and obstruct us from finding a way to break the seal. For thousands of years, we can't find a way to break the seal. There are many difficulties on the way to find a way. Part of the reason is because of him. Do you hate him? Of course. We have been sealed here for thousands of years. Who can understand the pain of not being free in our life? Kill him. Kill him. A group of demons were angry, looking at the man who was nailed to the cross, and wanted to kill him immediately. We can see how much resentment they had. When the man on the cross heard the loud voice, there seemed to be a slight movement, and the fingers tied to the edge seemed to move. Of course, except Yunwoo and Yuzigi, who were not found by the emotional fluctuation, no one else found them. Suddenly, Yunwoo felt that there was a strange look around her somewhere. Suddenly, her spine was half cold. She turned her eyes and began to look for that look. Finally, her eyes rested on the man on the cross. It's him. Under the unkempt hair, a pair of extremely sharp eyes were looking at her. Apart from her, Yuzigi didn't find his look. The eyes are sharp and sharp, just like a blade covered by rust. Once the rust is removed, it will shine. The eyes Yunwoo frowned, and her eyes seemed to tell her something. What is it? His ears were full of angry shouts. Yunwoo completely ignored him, just wondering what the man's eyes just wanted to convey to her. Good. According to you, today's hanging festival, sacrifice by you to kill. Do it. Hutsu Nan, who was wearing a black robe, gave an order. In an instant, the roar disappeared. Suddenly, all the voices were drawing swords and swords. In an instant, the dark forces were stirring up around the clouds. Everyone urged his own strength to kill the accomplice himself. Wait. Just when Yunwoo didn't know what to do next, a clear and sharp voice came from the dark sky. The voice was not big, but it was so powerful that the whole demon clan and the people who participated in the festival heard what he said. Cloud Dance narrowed to Squint Eye's son, the corner of the mouth stirs up radiant. It seems that the matter has a turn for the better. At that moment, she seemed to see the man on the cross nodding to her, thinking that she was wrong. When she wanted to see more clearly, the man still kept his head down and motionless, as if what she had just seen was an illusion. Gather Mao a smile, that smile cunning point is bright, no matter be hallucination or not, this person is to save his breakthrough, must be right, is also to save his only chance. On the top of the fire, a shadow came down from the sky. The shadow came from the sky like a dark wing. The breath of darkness rolled close. The falling posture looked like an immortal. There was a feeling of the combination of devil and angel. There were 3 followers on both sides of him. The posture of flying down was mysterious. Vice Lord, how are you? The man fell to the ground with a black feather fan in his hand, whistling as he walked. The black silk became red in the light of flint. It was messy in the dark, but it felt out of place. Looking at the man, Yunwoo looked carefully. The more he looked at the frown, the more serious the wrinkle was, and the more obvious the doubts in his eyes were. This man, no, he is definitely not an ordinary person, not a person in the human world, not an immortal in the immortal world, not a devil in the demon world. In him, she didn't feel a breath of human, as if this guy was something that didn't exist in the void, just an illusion. It felt like it's like a dead soul out of body in the movie, but the soul also has a body, but he gives her the feeling the long-bearded devil even looked at the man slowly coming. His fierce eyebrows stood up, and his tone became not good. Joyo, it seems that the festival of condolence has nothing to do with you. This Joyo is doing his good again. Joyo. Now the demons are divided into two groups. One group belongs to the present and knows the evil root of the demon's nature, so they are willing to spend their whole life in the seal. The other group is restless and wants to break the seal and dominate the three worlds. Joyo is a barrier between the two groups. If the two groups want to kill each other, they must step over Joyo's body. When it comes to the existence of Joyo, no one knows what his real identity is. In the memory of the demons, the envoys of guarding the world have always existed. No matter what, as long as they are demons, they will give him a thin face. Just like today, the demons are rampant, and Joyo's appearance has changed his face color and tone obviously. Along the way, Joyo doesn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional. As he walked by Yunwoo, he suddenly stopped. The black feather fan in his hand also stopped for half a time, but he subtly solved the pause, but he was still found by Yunwoo and Yuzigi. Yuzi takes a look at Joyo. Joyo's abnormality makes him worried. Now he has lost Naiden. It's lucky that he doesn't protect her. Looking at Yunwoo, he looks half careful towards her. Yunwoo nodded to reassure him. He is an old disciple of Yifeng Mountain. It's none of my business. I only care about peace between the two factions. If you want to kill Yifeng Mountain's disciple, it has something to do with me. 9 You suddenly fan, light tone like a home conversation, pale eyebrows beautiful to the extreme, beautiful but not lost handsome, cool but not lost aura, in short, this is a beautiful man. It's incredible that a person who has been living in the demon clan for thousands of years has such a spiritual atmosphere. Fortunately, this man is not a woman, otherwise Yunwoo can't imagine how she will react when she meets such a secular woman. You said he was Ilao's disciple. Joyo nodded. Ilao's disciples have been trying to prevent us from finding a way to lift the seal. Is it just as well for Ilao's followers, or Ilao also participated in the obstruction? Joyo Pingping said, I don't need to answer the questions that have nothing to do with me. I've taken the people away. I'm sorry to disturb the festival. With a slight stoop, 6 more ropes surrounded by black air appeared in the hands of the 6 followers behind him. The ropes twisted like 6 snakes and shook towards the man. Each division of work directly dragged the man from afar. Stop! Joyo, are you too arrogant? Magic even eyes become a lot of Yinli, in front of so many demons, if let Joyo take people away, where is his face? Besides, if you don't kill this man, his secret will be revealed to the immortal Isong. Once the secret is revealed, the whole demon clan can't be alone. He is a precious apprentice. He must die here anyway. Joyo stopped, calmly turned his head and looked at Magic Lien, and said faintly, Fish and bear's paw can't have it both. The deputy master can only give up one. If you want to give up the other, I don't mind. Take him. Joyo looked at the dying man and said, Here you are. You. The devil wants to talk but stops. He knows in that case. Somebody Magic even roared, Arrest them for me. What? Is she right? Cloud Dance Rare raised eyebrows, the direction of the magic finger is her, right? Shouldn't it be those people she's after? Who knows that the style of painting is changing too fast? She can't accept it for a moment. How can she be pushed to the top of the storm from a melon-eating crowd? However, she had long thought of such a result. It seems more interesting than the people who prevented them from finding the seal, how they entered the demons through the seal. Joyo said faintly, since the deputy patriarch has made a choice, Joyo will leave first. After that, he leaned over and turned to leave. Half a second later, his eyes passed over Yunwoo. The eyes were so complicated that Yunwoo didn't see through what the eyes meant. People who want to be saved will push themselves into danger instead. If so, it's better not to save them. Well, say something sarcastic to pass the time, waiting for help, ready to run. The cloud dances the corner of the mouth to stir up a smile like the plum blossom. She has a kind of premonition, in a few seconds, that just left the man will definitely be back. If not. Stop it. Joyo comes back with his 6 followers, but the man is missing. Magic even don't know whether feel oneself was fooled, look like is exasperated to become angry to roar what do you want to do in the end? Joyo didn't speak. He just took a letter out of his arms. A black mist rose from his palm, wrapped the letter up and sent it to the magic company. He said flatly, I forgot to give the important things to the deputy leader. The disciple of the magic sect was seriously injured. I really want to belittle Yifeng Mountain. Here Yifeng Mountain challenges the magic sect. The devil connected the letter, opened it and read it. The next second, he angrily squeezed the letter into pieces and glared at Joyo and said, Joyo, as a guard messenger, you are favoring the other faction. Do you really not pay attention to our demon sect? Cloud Dance picks the tip of his brow and looks at Joyo with a smile. He thinks deeply. The more he thinks, the more he wants to smile. Unexpectedly, Joyo is still a very interesting person. There is no residue left to use anyone. But didn't expect that 9U also suddenly turn head of just right up Cloud Dance. And also at that moment, Cloud Dance inexplicably felt a shock in my heart. It's not fear. It's not shock. It's a wonderful feeling, just like I've known him for thousands of years. I'm inexplicably familiar with him. Of course, this feeling disappeared in a flash. 9U hook lips to smile toward her, seemed to be polite to say hello the same, then just elegant turn ahead to look at that Inli of evil connect. How can the deputy lord think so? We Joyo always take protecting the demons as our duty and never take sides. This is well known among the demons. Pooh. Well said. Magic Company was in the stage of anger, and his eyes were cold and full of anger. What do you mean now? 9U if have if of swing a feather fan, incomparably elegant and handsome face light smile, breeze light cloud light of say, I don't come to deliver a letter. Does this make the deputy patriarch feel unfair? Okay, if the deputy master feels uncomfortable, Joyo can also send a letter for you. I don't know who the deputy master wants to send a letter to. Clearly at this time the atmosphere is on the verge of rage stage, but this 9U is still not disturbed by half silk. Seeing this scene of Cloud Dance, I can't help looking at the Joyo. This man is really eloquent. But Cloud Dance also quickly reaction, now do not seize the opportunity to escape, it is really a fool. Come on, let's go. Whispered toward the side of the Jade Sun to say Cloud Dance to hold small fat girl began to sneak back. Come into my territory, can you still walk? Magic even in Cloud Dance there a movement, found out. A powerful dark force passed by in the air, directly attacking the clouds. Jade's Sun return eyebrow deep lock, quickly blocked in front of Cloud Dance body, so estimate is can't walk. Don't mention their strength now. Even if they are in full strength, it's hard to escape from so many demons. What's more, as soon as they got together with the deputy leader of the demon clan. Not necessarily. Yunwoo suddenly gave a strange smile. See, at the time that Magic Lien's power attacks them, 9U's power that whisks by with the hand has already stopped. Bang! A beam of light exploded in the dark mid-air. All the demons around were angry and tolerant. Looking at the smiling Joyo, they didn't look very good. Joyo, aren't you being partial? Do you want to be the enemy of my whole demon clan? The devil even roared, and the anger in the dark eyes could almost burn up. Just now that man has been taken away by him. If these two people are also taken away by him now, how can he mix in the demon clan in the future? How can the demon clan survive in the future? Joyo blinked innocently. He didn't want to look like this and said, I can't blame you, Deputy Master. You should know that Jilyo is responsible for guarding the world. Naturally, you can't hurt our guests of the demon clan. The implication is to take Yunwoo away from him again. Even considering Jilyo's identity and strength, Magic Company was still enraged at this time. A strong and thick dark atmosphere suddenly attacked a large space. Don't go too far. After that, he saw that the thick dark breath turned into countless black mangroves in an instant, and quickly swept away to the clouds. However, his eyes are tightly staring at Ninyu. It seems that as long as he dare to hand, he will not be polite. To tell you the truth, Yunwoo's body at this time can't resist the powerful power of this patriarch. Once captured by him, I'm afraid the consequences can be imagined. But I don't know why, from just on Ninyu that Cloud dance inexplicably very calm. You can even look at the Magic Company's attack on her without expression, and don't dodge. On the contrary, Yuzigi's face changed, and his heart, which had always been too cold, was not calm at this moment. Reach out and block Yunwoo and the child behind you, trying to arouse some spiritual power to resist. However, don't say he has no inner elixir. Even if he hasn't lost his inner elixir, at this time, in this completely dark demon clan, it's totally oppressive for him, the bright immortal. However, Yuzigi's action made Yunwoo feel more grateful to him. At least, when she was inhaled into the seal crack, he did not hesitate to chase her down, and now he is still in front of their mother and son regardless of life and death. Bang bang. Those illusory black mang were intercepted on the way when they were about to approach Yunwoo and others. Of course, the hand is still the nature of the Ninyu. In this case, the evil company was completely furious. His eyes were extremely red, and he glared at Jilyu. If you want to fight against us, don't blame me. But before he finished, Jilyo interrupted coldly, Deputy Master, I should ask you, do you mean to fight Jilyo? Tone is very indifferent, but the tone of the natural superior momentum is infected with a full-threat anger. It is their demon sect that has been destroyed. But at this time, it seems that their demon sect has done something to break the rules. Magic Lien's face is naturally not very good-looking, As I just said, they are the VIPs of our demons. No matter you are the demons or other demons, you can't hurt them at all. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Jilyo has always been as light as wind and clouds, floating like an immortal. It's almost impossible to hear the breath of life from him. But now, the severe anger in his tone made all the demons present unable to react. Even Magic Company was slightly surprised. After all, although he repeatedly said that he would be rude to him, he didn't really want to fight with him. In addition to his strength, Jilyo can become a demon guardian. Because he is too mysterious, no one knows his origin. Naturally, no one knows what his strength is. Just now you have taken away the old man's disciples. Now the 2 big and 1 small should belong to our demon sect. What's more, today is our demon sect festival. Magic even in face of say. Just now I let you choose for yourself. You chose them, but unfortunately, you can't move them. Why? Because they are the VIPs of the demons. After hearing that, the devil even has the heart to spit blood. Why don't you take people away from him just because you are a VIP? They come from the other side of the seal. I don't care what you say about VIP. You can't take them away. Magic doesn't want to laugh at him anymore. Big deal, please come out in person. But Jilyo seems to understand what he thinks in his heart. Suddenly, a radiance appears on his pretty face. Even if your patriarch comes out in person, I have to take this man away. After that, he saw the 6 servants behind him. They took Yunwoo and Yuzi to Jilyo again. Of course, at the moment when Magic Company and others react, Jilyo's figure disappears again. However, it left a word echoing, Deputy Patriarch, you tell your patriarch that people are taken away by me Jilyo. This damn Jilyo. Magic even at this time face don't mention how ugly, Yin Li's eyes rolling with the fury. At this time, the devil on one side could not help but come forward and asked in a low voice, Deputy Lord, what should we do now? Do you want him to take people away like this? Or what do you say? Do you think you can get them back? Magic, even this is a belly fire, all over the haze, more uncontrollable. The demon suddenly shrank in fear and said respectfully, "Why don't we invite the Lord out of the mountain? As long as our Lord comes out, even if he is Jilyo, he will not dare to be so presumptuous to us." Although he was extremely angry, he didn't lose all his sense. He immediately turned around and walked quickly in a certain direction. But suddenly he thought of something, and immediately he turned around and solemnly ordered, "Gather the troops immediately. This time, we must eradicate the damned Ifeng mountain." Yes, in an instant, the evil clan began to storm up and down. A mountain as high as Mount Everest, Yunwu and Yuzigi are finally free. 9U in a brush hand, that originally bare mountain, unexpectedly quickly swept up a black wind. Wind up and wind down, that is, in the twinkling of an eye, a luxurious and resplendent mansion appeared on the top of the mountain. The mansion is surrounded by a layer of black clouds, but it is dotted with countless night pearls, shining the darkness all around. Two distinguished guests, please 9U ferry a smile, a pair of raw animal harmless eyes straight looking at Cloud dance with Jade Sun return of Say. But when the corner of his eye swept to the little fat girl in Yunwu's arms, he subconsciously reached out to touch her. Cloud dance hasn't yet come over from that sudden situation reaction, feel Jade's Sun return once again blocked in front of her, blocked 9U that toward Cloud dance to extend to come over of hand. As the guardian of the demon clan, Jilyo has great responsibility. You saved us from the demon clan. Is there anything we need to help? Cold voice, with endless alienation and vigilance. I don't know why, he always feels that this 9U can't be so speechless and innocent, and finally save them. However, they are now deeply involved in this demon clan, and they are in a passive state for many things. But even so, he won't let the mother and daughter get hurt. 9U that stretch in the mid-air of hand a meal, pick eyebrow of saw eye block in front of Cloud dance Jade's Sun return. At a glance, he laughed. It turns out that you are the patriarch of Yugoshin in Fairyland. No wonder you feel so familiar with your smell. However, some did not expect that the patriarch of this generation is such a young man. Young man? Even though Yuzigi is in his early 20s, he is hundreds of years old. But at this time, he was said to be a young man among the more young and handsome men. It's really weird. Smell speech, Jade's Sun return I ground vigilance to be deeper. Although the demons can tell from their breath that they are not demons, it is absolutely impossible to know their specific identity. However, this Jilyo, just looked at him, knew his origin, really let a person feel a little creepy. Don't worry. If I want to do anything to you, I won't save you from the evil company. Don't stand at the door. Let's go into the room first. After that, Jilyo walked towards the mansion gracefully and naturally. And the 6 people who followed him naturally followed in silence. Suddenly, Yuzi was left at the door to follow Yunwu. Yuzigi turns his head and looks at Yunwu. It seems that he is asking for her opinion. Go ahead and have a look. This Jilyo is not simple. I feel that if we want to find a way back, maybe we can find it in Jilyo. Cloud dance said in a low voice. In fact, she always feels that Jilyo has inexplicable attraction for her. Of course, it's not about emotion. Now that they have no way back, it's better to see what the purpose of Jilyo is. What's more, even if they want to escape now, it's impossible for them to escape from Jilyo. Although Yuzigi lost his inner elixir and his only spiritual power was suppressed, he had his own wisdom and insight to become the leader of the sect. In the current situation, he also knows what is best for them. Be careful not to leave me too far. Before going in, Yuzigi just said this. Then, first Cloud dance step into. Yunwu looks at Yuzi's back and feels a little complicated. He didn't have to. However, it's not the time to think about this, so Yunwu didn't object, and entered the mansion behind Yuzi Gui. As soon as they stepped into the gate suddenly closed. At that moment, it seemed that all around the mansion was enveloped by the black fog, and I couldn't see my fingers. If it wasn't for the bright pearls of the night all over the mansion, I'm afraid it would be really scary. Along with the light of the night Pearl, Yuzigi, Yunwoo, and the sleeping little fat girl walked into the courtyard slowly and all the way looking at the surrounding environment, and finally came to a hall with an open door. Here you are, young lady. Joyo, who is sitting in the hall drinking hot tea, suddenly says hello to Yunwoo Yuzigi outside the door with a smile. Then, I don't know where to see a lot of attendants, began to decorate the dining table in the hall. Surely you haven't eaten since you came into the demon clan. Come and have some first. You can eat my food with ease. It won't affect you. Joyo goes to the dining table and sits down, looking up at them with a smile. In fact, Cloud Dance can't understand this Joyo. But I feel that he is not dangerous to her. Therefore, he also sat down in the position opposite him, and Yuzigi sat down beside her. The servants began to serve one after another. Sweet and sour spare ribs, sauce duck, marinated chicken. The dishes of the world appear on the dining table of this demon clan. How do you think they are weird? But when Joyo saw the dishes on the table, his eyes were inexplicably bright. Then, he changed the so-called Xianzi Pianpian and turned into an ordinary person. He picked up chopsticks and started to move. While eating, he also pointed to the dishes on the table in Chaoyun dance. Girl, don't mention it. These dishes should be eaten while they are hot, or they will taste bad. By the way, I forgot to tell you that no matter how high your accomplishments are in the human world or in the fairyland, once you come into my house, you will become the most ordinary people without any spiritual power. So, I'd better eat a little so that I won't be hungry at night. There's no midnight snack here. In fact, there is no so-called difference between night and day in the demon clan, because it is almost dark at any time. If you have to make a difference, maybe the so-called daytime here is that the black sky is thicker and a little thinner. And the so-called night is the thickest moment of the wind, darkness and haze in the whole demon clan. Therefore, in this demon clan, people can almost be said to be upside down day and night. When the dark haze is the thickest, it's the time for all the demons to come out and do their activities. When Yunwoo and Yuzigi fall into this demon family, they are also very lucky. In the daytime, when the haze is light, they don't meet too many demon people. Otherwise, it is estimated that the two of them will not have a chance to sneak into the demon clan. Hearing the words of Joyo, Yunwoo secretly wants to run Dantian, but finds that there is no spiritual power, even the mulongtang wrapped around her wrist is asleep. Your house is surrounded by borders. Aren't you the messenger guarding the border? Why do we need a border? Cloud Dance also holds chopsticks, while eating while looking for topics asked. Yuzigi was silent and ate. But from time to time to Cloud clip on a few dishes, because Cloud is still holding a child in one hand, far away dishes cannot clip. This move is somewhat too intimate. But here, no one else seems to pay attention to these, except Joyo, who is eating happily. Well, of course, it's also because I'm the messenger of the demon hand world that I need these enchantments more. Joyo's pretty face raised that elegant smile again, but Yunwoo seemed to suddenly see a trace of helplessness from his face. As you have heard before, as the guardian of the demon clan, you can't take sides. Now the demon clan is almost divided into two groups. One is to break the seal and leave the place, the other is to be content with the status quo. On the other hand, there are some internal splits in the party who is content with the status quo. Now there are always wars and chaos between the two factions, but the reason why they have never really fought against each other is because of my existence. As long as I Joyo exist, there will be no real war between the two factions unless I am killed. Speaking of this, Joyo's words pause, and his hands with vegetables also stop. It seems that he thinks of something. He suddenly looks up and thoughtfully looks at the child in Yunwoo's arms. By nine you that look in the eyes, Cloud Dance subconsciously hugged the child some, can't help but frown. Nine you see this, haha a smile of continued to eat up, casually finished the words behind, so, if I don't make a little border in the place where I live, I'm afraid I don't know how many times I died. Is that so? Cloud Dance looking at this nine you, always feel he said some not too true. After meditating for a second, Yunwoo asked frankly, now we are all in your territory. Why don't we just say, what's your purpose? Jilyo doesn't seem to be surprised at Yunwoo's cleverness at all. After picking eyebrows and laughing, he finally puts down his chopsticks, raises his clear eyes and looks at the child in Yunwoo's arms. This time I save you, it's really selfish of me, and the biggest reason is because of her. Slender fingers, gently pointed to the little fat girl. Yunwoo frowned and looked down at her sleeping daughter in her arms. The skin that was burned by the extreme yang inner pill, after entering the demon family, slowly disappeared and healed. In fact, Yunwoo's psychology is very clear. Little fat girl seems to be very consistent with this demon aura. She can not only absorb the dark power of the power, but also nourish herself and her during the absorption period. Yes, Yunwoo's body can be nourished in this demon family now, mostly because of the little fat girl in her arms. For this point, Cloud Dance is actually not very clear what the reason, also do not know whether this is good or bad. What do you mean? Cloud Dance looks at him to ask away. But it's strange that she still doesn't have the so-called antipathy and repulsion to him. On the contrary, after Yuzi returned to Wenyan, the breath immediately became fierce, and he was extremely alert and stared at the 9U. 9U can't help but puff to hiss a smile, uncanny of saw Jade's son return one eye, seemed to understand what among them. But I'm not going to break it. But he looked at Yunwoo and said, don't worry, I don't mean anything to you, but I just tell you some facts. Facts? Well, it's about the child in your arms. Maybe, you already know that she is the son of darkness in the fairyland and the demons. The people of the light family want to get rid of it quickly. Once they know it, they are afraid that it will cause a bloodbath for this child. Cloud Dance's face can't help but some dignified, because what he said is the truth. Think of Yuzigi when he saw the child immediately want to kill attitude, can imagine, once let other bright department people find, little fat girls and can imagine. But what does that have to do with him? Jilyo seems to have the ability to see through people's thoughts. Seeing Yunwoo's idea just flashed by, he said with a smile, if you are the son of light, it has nothing to do with me. However, the child who entered the demon clan happens to be the son of darkness. In that case, you can only say that everything is doomed. Is it the so-called destiny? I don't know why, Yunwoo has a great antipathy to that sentence. No one can escape the destiny, even you. Jilyo refers to you, including Yunwoo and Yuzigi. Yuzi's love disaster and Yunwoo's natural mission. No one can escape this. Even him. Maybe if you open your heart, Jilyo will no longer pretend to be mysterious and elegant. From behind you, you walk to Yunwoo and look down at the lovely little fat girl. Can I hold her? Although Yuzigi is very wary of this Jilyo, he can't talk about the child, so he can only look at Yunwoo. In fact, Yunwoo is also very tangled. Even though she doesn't reject Jilyo's view, she doesn't feel at ease that the child is handed over to such a person she just met. Especially after experiencing the charm situation, she did not dare to give her children to others. Don't worry, in this mansion, even I won't have spiritual power, so don't worry that I will take the child away under your eyes. What's more, my nest is here. Where can I go? See Cloud Dance of hesitation, 9U then open mouth say. Then, Yunwoo put the child in her arms. When Yunwoo came back, she almost beat herself. Haven't you had enough lessons? However, now she can't start to grab the child back, so she stares at Jilyo tightly. It seems that as long as he has a slight change, she will rush up immediately. Soft small body, also with the smell of silk milk, 9U carefully and cherish incomparable holding the arms of the baby. On that handsome face, there was an awkward softness and warmth. What's her name? Cloud Dance hesitated for a moment, should Wei, the small name is Little Fat Girl, the big name has not taken, originally is to leave her father to take for her. But she didn't expect that when she saw Long Qingxie, it was like that. However, even so, Yunwoo still decided to give the name of her child to her own father. 9U smell speech, eyebrow peak to pick, Little Fat Girl. How did the lovely baby with delicate appearance in her arms get such an ugly name? Even if it's a nickname, it seems that it's too bad to hear. Of course, Joyo can't dislike anything in front of the child's mother, so he doesn't ask any more. He continues to look at the child in his arms with a kind of tender eyes. Originally, Yunwoo shouldn't think about anything, but seeing Joyo looking at little fat girl with that kind of eyes, Yunwoo always felt something was wrong. You're not going to think about my daughter, are you? She's just over 2 months old. She's not for you. It can't be said that Cloud Dance thought is too much. The main thing is that Joyo's eyes are tender, just like looking at your lover. It's hard to go there. 9. Forehead green tendon stir up a few times, half ring just suppress that depressed feeling in the heart. Looking up at Yunwoo, she will be my successor in the future. Successor? Cloud Dance Leng, but the next second, but a spirited jump from the stool, a child from Joyo arms back. You don't have a fever. My daughter is only 2 months old. Do you want to find her as your successor? No way for this point, Cloud Dance has no hesitation at all. Don't say now the child is still so small, even now the little fat girl has grown up, she can't allow her to inherit the responsibility of Joyo. The good news is the envoys of guarding the boundary, but the hard news is just to balance the stewards of the two factions. Busy to add responsibility on their shoulders, not to say, but also at any time to prevent someone from being assassinated. How could she let her daughter suffer such a crime? What's more, she can't afford to like this dark demon. It's her destiny. She can't escape it. I never believe in fate. My own destiny is in my own hands. So Joyo, you can't think of my daughter. She won't be your successor. Joyo looks at the cloud dancing like a hedgehog, and sighs helplessly, even if you stop it now, you can't change the future. After all, a strong person like your mother can't change his fate, let alone you. You know my mother? Cloud Dance heard, slightly zhengleng for a while. Her mother, in her now not too complete memory has been fuzzy, but her heart is some inexplicable desire. Eager to know the news of her biological mother. Maybe it's because she has become a mother now. She always feels that she is missing a part in the family. 9. You didn't answer, but saw I Jade's son return. Gui naturally understood what he meant. Although he didn't recommend Yunwoo's mother and daughter to be alone with him, seeing the look of eager to know the answer in Yunwoo's eyes, he went to the door automatically. Until after Yuzigi left, Joyo said slowly, when you see me, don't you feel a little familiar? This sentence, asked Cloud Dance. Cloud Dance inexplicably looked at him, then nodded slightly. For a moment, you give me a very familiar feeling, and even, from you, I can't feel exclusion and danger. Haha, that's because we have the same root. 9. You say, also ignore Cloud Dance to make what facial expression, turn round to inside a corridor to walk. This is the same root? What does he mean? Cloud Dance suddenly feel as if there is something important to know, and can tell her, is that 9 you? Bear the bottom of my heart doubt, Cloud Dance holding the child also follow Joyo. Through a corridor decorated with night pearls, through a rockery without any vegetation, after bypassing a pavilion, we finally came to a Wanyuan building standing on the pond. There was no way to the Wanyuan building. Joyo pauses there for a moment. Seeing the Cloud Dance coming up, he just flicks his hand. An arch bridge made of black fog appears between them. Come with me. After that, he set foot on the arch bridge and walked slowly towards the Wanyuan Tower. Doesn't it mean that you can't use psychic power? Looking at the arch bridge, which is obviously condensed by the spirit, the black line on Cloud's forehead slides down, and silently looks at the back of Joyo. I knew he wasn't completely telling the truth. However, now Yunwoo didn't say anything at this time. Holding the child, she stepped on the black arch bridge carefully, facing the Wanyuan building standing on the pond. In fact, this building is very classic and exquisite. The 4 corners of each floor are inlaid with night pearls, which light up the whole building in soft light.